Welcome to Roundtable Live for February 17th, 2017. I'm Barrett, joined by Rockley Smile, Northern Lion Mathis Games, and hey, wait a minute, that's not a still image at the bottom of the screen, it's a real guy!
It's me, it's Rob, it's all back control.
Welcome
How's
back,
it going?
man. It's episode 77?
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Way too
77 or
long.
78, that's a lot.
Yeah, still here.
And I believe this is Rob's dozenth appearance or so appreciate you.
Is that a word?
Now I believe an honorary member of the
Doesn't?
Roundtable.
That's
Something
a
like
word
that,
now.
yeah. That's a good time.
That's
Yeah.
a word. That's totally
Thanks for
a word.
having me. I'm excited to talk about Misaloo today.
Yeah, we've got you on for a very particular expertise today, which you will be demonstrating to us in due fashion by virtue of cutting my head off repeatedly in upcoming videos, I'm sure. Yeah, we got that to talk about today. We're going to do a Twitch chat Q&A this week, which, as you all are well aware, I'm sure, means that we have very little to talk about. But we got a few things that we'll be talking about today, namely the Humble Freedom Bundle, as well as some big Hearthstone changes. It's going to be a Hearthstone day. We've got a few games that we played this week as well, including Invisigun Heroes, All the Delicate Duplicates, Alwa's Awakening, Northgard, and, of course, the big one, For Honor. That's us. Let's go ahead and break right through the gate, shall we, with the Humble Freedom Bundle. That worked fairly
I like the
well.
segue.
Thank
That
you.
was good.
I thought it was
It's
all right.
fantastic. I feel free right now, so.
You should. The Humble Freedom Bundle was announced. 1 week only bundle. This is like harkening back to the 2014, 2015 days of Humble Bundle for me, wasn't it? For you guys, like you see the bundle and you're like, how the hell did they do this? How did they actually get everyone to agree to sell
It's
it
like
at this point?
3 times better than that.
Yeah,
it's like
It's massive.
It's crazy.
It's an amazing.
it's
deal.
probably the best one they've ever done. I don't think that's too much of a stretch. So
they're adding more too, right? Aren't they?
It's just
Yeah.
getting more and more ridiculous. So let's break this down for starters. First of all, the Humble Freedom Bundle is, again, it's 1 week only, so I believe we're on, the last couple of days here. So if you're watching this in the VOD, you are running quickly out of time. But it was 1 week only, 100% charitable Humble Bundle. So Humble is not actually taking a cut out of this, or at least is not designed to. I don't know if you can actually designate them as a recipient for your money. I haven't tried myself. But you can, however, choose how you divvy it out to the ACLU, the IRC, and the MSF. The ACLU is probably the one most people are more familiar with now, the American Civil Liberties Union, which has been doing a lot of stuff lately. The Humble Bundle is also matching up to $300,000 of these purchases, so they've already done that, and people have gone ahead and taken their own liberties with it to the tune of $5.4 million.
That's crazy.
Holy hell.
Unbelievable. 167,000 bundles sold as of this moment. Let me break down some of the big entries here as well. Before today, weirdly enough, it was even better than it is now. They have been improving it, but they had Subnautica in here. They actually ran out of codes for it very
wow.
quickly.
Oh.
So
That game is in a fantastic place right now too.
But yeah, they've got. Well, apparently they're also out of Super Meat Boy keys. Holy shit! They ran out of Steam keys for Super Meat Boy.
That's about the only game that I'll believe, though developers could have run out of Steam keys by now.
Yeah.
Sometimes we request a key and they're like, oh, the Steam only gave us 30, so sorry. This one, they've given out probably 3 or 4 million.
They've actually
They've had the Steam Key factory operating for, 5 years now? You'd think they have a backlog in a freaking steel chest somewhere.
Over at Valve, they're just like, come on, guys. Getting a little ridiculous.
What do they do you think? Did they allot them a certain set of variables of 15 character codes, or what is the...
Well, I think you can probably get as many as you want within reason. How many possible permutations are there? It's 40 to the power of 16 or something like that. It's infinite for all intents and purposes. But probably I imagine that for developers Mathis, who makes Subnautica? It's Hidden Realms or
It's people who did Natural Selection 2.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I had no idea.
It's a fantastic game.
Unknown Worlds.
Unknown Worlds, yes, that is.
So I imagine that they're I'll tell you what, our game still isn't even out yet, so we don't want to just give it away for $30 with 29 other amazing games because it's going to blow us out of the water in the
way
future.
more than that, too, yeah.
We'll give you 15,000 or 30,000 codes or something like that. But after that, cut it off a little bit. But it's still a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, the Witness. Is that still part of the bundle?
Still up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Witness. I mean, the game on Steam costs more than the Humble Bundle itself.
What is it
Yeah.
right now on Steam? At 40?
40. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and the Humble Bundle is $30. So I mean, like that alone, it's a it's a
Yeah,
pretty
if
good
you
deal.
don't own the Witness, that by itself is reason enough
Yeah.
to buy that bundle. But
Well, I
also
mean-
just buy that bundle.
Yeah.
With this bundle, there's probably like at least 3 or 4 games that are worth the $30 themselves. And then there's like another 15 that are worth like $10 to $20.
Yeah.
And then everything else is just like a bonus thrown in. So like I think it's pretty much hands down the best deal that Humble's ever done. It's like 6 Humble bundles thrown together, basically.
Can you give us more games on the list, Bear?
Yeah, absolutely. You got yourself, you got Day of the Tentacle remaster. That was pretty recent, wasn't it? The remaster of that? That was within the last few
year. It
years.
was 2016.
Yeah, so there you go. Of course, you got Stardew Valley on there, Nuclear Throne, Octodad, Dadliest Catch. You got Invisible Ink made an appearance on there as well. World of Goo, which is always hailed as basically one of the best PC games ever. Stanley Parable, great game.
Good.
That is a great game.
Super Hexagon, which you can normally get on a Steam sale for like $1, but
Suckers.
it's great.
Yeah.
You got VVVVVV. You got the Swapper, which I can't recommend the Swapper enough. Still, like I'm sad I waited so long to play the Swapper. Swapper's incredible.
Guacamelee, just before that, is amazing.
Yeah,
Guacamelee
that
is
game
a
was
great game.
real good.
Really good.
Yep.
Are they making something else? Because like I really
What
like
studio was
Guacamelee.
that?
That's
Fiesta. or something.
Drinkbox.
Oh.
Drinkbox.
I'm
And they
racist.
made Severed, which came out on Vita, and maybe other mobile
iOS?
type devices.
Maybe
Yeah.
something else. That's way too
They
familiar.
made something about blob
Yeah,
attacks.
Tales from Space Mutant Blobs Attack.
Oh, Severed. That's the email I was joking about before the thing. It's like we crushed our 800%. Whatever. And I was like, it ended up in my spam box too. So I'm like, this is stupid. What
I heard
the
that
fuck
game
is
is actually excellent.
So
Right,
that's
I heard it
just-
was pretty good. Let me
That's
put
great.
it.
Well, I guess
Bring it to
I'll
PC.
go see it.
Is that what the Kickstarter was for? To bring it to PC?
I'm not sure. I can double check that. But while I'm double checking that, you go ahead and keep going.
I just noticed
All right.
this is some interesting box art for No Time to Explain Remastered on here. It looks like a novel cover
Yeah.
from the 1990s.
Well, that was the game that like
It's coming to PC.
it put That put Tiny Build like on the map. Like
Yeah.
I think that was the first one they made, and I remember like the trailer getting viral on Reddit, and then here we are like 5 years later, and they're kind of
What game was that? Sorry.
No Time to Explain.
Oh, yeah.
Did Tiny Build make that?
I believe
I
so.
thought they just published
Yeah, I don't know
it.
if they made it. Let me look.
I thought that they made that game,
They might have.
but I
They
don't
make a
know.
lot of games though.
But I thought like they made it before
With their hands.
before they were even Tiny Build. I thought that they made No Time to Explain.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You've also got Human Resource Machine on here as well.
Yeah, it's a great game, but don't get me started.
That's the coding one, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
just
it's
like-
not
Logic.
coding.
Yeah.
Mini
30
Metro.
Flights of Loving is really good too.
Oh yeah.
30 Flights of Loving was pretty fun. I liked it.
It's just like very. It's like if video
Interactive
games
fiction.
were. Yeah, like if it's an art house kind of.
Yes.
Right.
Very
It's
much.
true.
artsy.
It's very funny.
It is.
It's also
yeah.
bite-sized. You
Yeah.
know, play it in like half an hour.
Gives me a jazz punk vibe. Is that?
Yes,
It's very similar.
Same people, isn't it?
It might be.
it is not.
All right.
Jazz punk.
I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here, but
Well, I'm
It's
down
like,
for it, so.
the guys like Bit Beetle made jazz punk, and then this is what is the name? Blendo made,
Oh.
and also Quadrilateral Cowboy.
Yeah, I used to be able to keep track of all the indie studios in my head, and at some point in the last year, I just kind of blew all of them out of my brain, and now I just can't remember anything.
I've got like I don't know. I've like categorized a few. You know, there's like the ones that I can just. You know, you know them when you see them, right?
I've
Like, you
gone
got-
backward. I've lost information I had before.
Well, I'm saying like you got like your clays and your behemoths, right? Where you see
Yeah.
a game, you're like, oh, it's a clay game.
We're
It's a
the
behemoth
AAA,
Clearly, yeah.
AAA indie games.
Triple A.
game. Yeah, you obviously though had a much more
treaty
vast
AAA.
depth that you had to
There's
wade
too many-
through.
There's too many like labels now. You got III, you got true
I didn't
indies.
know
You
that
got
was
like
real until pretty
Yeah,
recently.
is that a real thing? Like I just
You
heard
got,
that
like,
just now.
Yeah.
double A studios and like
It's a
Focus
useful
Home.
term.
It
I
is
think.
good. Yeah, no, I think it's honestly like necessary at this point. We've
Since
developed to
you-
the point where it's necessary.
You have like an expectation. If I say something's a AAA game, and then I showed you like Invisigun Heroes, not that it's bad, but you'd be like, "What? Like, what? EA
Triple
made
I
this?
is like Devolver.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Triple I is just like if I say something's indie and it was made by like one dude in his basement, your expectations are different than if it's published by Devolver or like Behemoth or Clay, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
What if Valve makes a game? Is that AAA or AAA?
Ooh, I think that's like quadruple A.
Mhm.
No. All right, that's fair enough.
Nah, man, they're just V.
It's not double fine.
Double Fine, they've recently been reduced to double A by
They lost an A.
by the Better Business Bureau.
I like this game, but we gotta put more labels.
They're like IAAs and IIAs.
Oh,
Exactly,
God,
yeah.
How far does it
Let's
go?
stop.
Mini Metro on there. I don't know if we already mentioned that one.
That game-
Metroid. I'd like
Mini
that.
Metroid, I played that.
Mini Metro is
Yeah.
like a game designer's like wet dream. Like if you follow a lot of game designers on Twitter, they're always talking about Mini Metro.
Really?
Kind of like it flew under the radar for some other people. When I played it, I was like, it's pretty cool. But I don't know if I'm that into it. But I see people like, oh, check it out. My Mini Metro score is crazy.
That's the one where you make the subway map, right?
Yeah.
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 But that's
I'll
all
have
it
to
is,
play
right?
that.
Just maps.
Designing a subway layout is.
It's
More or
not
less
really
the thing, right?
designing a subway though.
Oh,
It's
is
an
something like a
abstract-
metaphor?
No, it's kind of like a board game in some ways, I guess. That the like Ticket to Ride is not about building trains. Like you're not
Yeah.
building like the caboose and then connecting the engines and then spending 45 minutes watching it go from Puddleswick Place to
Just like City Skyline is
National
about
Highways.
building a city. It's just traffic management.
I've heard lots of really good things. Maybe you need to just play it.
yeah,
I
Mini
think I
Metro.
prejudged it being like a game about something I wouldn't be interested in, so I just didn't.
Mini Metro is like it's very meditative.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if you liked it.
The bridge building game was like that too. I was into that.
You got Tower of Guns on there, which I actually enjoy.
Yeah, I like Tower of Guns.
Back in the day.
Developers working on something new as well, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Oh, really?
He's a nice guy.
Cool.
Yeah, he is.
Retro Game Crunch, I actually checked out a few years ago. That's a
It's
decent
like a compilation of
Yeah.
indie games jammed into one pile.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know much about it? Or?
I played like a good hour or two. Like standalone. I think it's a good extra game. Like I wouldn't really recommend it. Like go get Retro Game Crunch, but it's fun to. I would recommend booting it up and checking it out if you happen to get the bundle.
Right.
It's a good time. Let's see what else. Secrets of Raidicon. I also played a
Never
while
played
ago.
Really pretty game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the game looked really pretty.
Yeah, that's
It's
about.
sort of
I don't
like
wanna,
adventure
like-
puzzle game.
I don't want to come over the top and be like, yeah, this game you can get in the bundle's not that good. But I agree. It's gorgeous. But then after like an hour of it, I was like, I'm not really having a great
I'm about the same place there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was awful. It was garbage. Don't get it.
I fucking hated it. This is terrible.
That was exactly
You know
the
what sucks,
sentiment I
too?
had. He just yanked it out in two very polarized sentiments.
Yeah, fuck, Mickey Mouse and bunnies and rainbows and stuff.
That is
fucking
100%
unicorns.
right.
Bah.
I mean, it's pretty so what.
Yeah, no.
Robot Roller Derby. Let me try that one
That's
again.
the one.
Robot Roller Derby
Robot
Disco
Roller Derby
Dodgeball.
Disco Dodgeball. There we go.
Took me years to say that properly.
You know what you could say about that game more than anything is that it works incredibly well online. Just
Yeah.
straight up. You just
Yeah.
boot it up
Yeah.
and you could go online and play.
I was into that game. It just made Ryan sick, so we didn't play it much on the NLSS, but I liked it.
It's a little nauseating, but
Yeah.
I do like it though.
It's fun.
Did you guys play Jump Jet Rex?
I bought that the other day, and I saw B-Rex playing
Yeah.
it, and I wanted to play it a bunch because it looked really fun.
That's exactly where I saw it. It looked like a blast, actually. I might check that out. Apparently, you get 2 copies of Guacamelee with the bundle, so that's nice.
I saw that as well. Yeah,
Crazy.
It's a little weird.
Why stop at 2?
Well, think marketing. The more people that have it, the more people are going to be like, these guys are good. What are they making? Oh, Sundered's coming out.
True.
You
Yeah,
can play that game multiplayer too, right? Like there's a co-op thing in there.
I think
local.
I don't think it's
but-
online, though, right?
Yeah, it's
local
local,
only.
yeah.
I think. Interesting game here. Ball sack.
I missed that
Personal
one. Where is
favorite.
that?
it's ball stick, but the stylized font kind of makes it look like ball
Oh,
sack.
okay. Hand of Fate's on there as well. There's another good one.
That's
You
great.
guys love that game.
Yo, Hand of Fate is if I want Hand of Fate 2 to just be it's not. I know because I played it, but I want it to just be the board game.
Really?
They've got so many cool ideas with the board game, and it's all tactile and like physical and real, but there's still the combat.
Yeah.
Is the combat still bad?
It's too easy, I think, is the way that I would describe it. But I'm intending to play at least a little of Hand of Fate 2 when it comes out.
Me
I'm
too.
excited to see it.
It's so pretty, that game, but like, yeah, the combat.
It's weird. Hand of Fate is one of those games that is potential to be great if they just cut out a part of their game.
Yeah.
It's a good game that could be great if they remove a piece. It's weird.
I think the thing is, like, people like us, if you want your entire game to be ruled by dice rolls, I actually don't want the ability to steamroll it. Like, I want to be able to roll like a 4 and then ruin my life. But if you roll like a 4 and then it doubles the enemies and you still just full combo like the whole pod, then you're like, well, it kind of feels like the dice roll isn't as weighty. But hopefully Hand of Fate 2 maybe does something to balance that in a way that's a little bit better.
I mean, the first one it was like the Arkham style combat.
Yeah.
Shitty Arkham.
Yeah, right, but did it poorly. Like, if they could extend it so that it's like the full Arkham stuff, it would be pretty fun. I mean, Shadow of Mordor did it pretty well. So I don't know if they do it right.
Well, that's because that's WB who have
Yeah.
Arkham.
That's
So they just took that system and was like, we're just going to put it into another game.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You got Chroma Squad on there as well. That Power
Heard it's
Rangers
good.
tactical
Never
RPG.
played it.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's all right.
I played. Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, it's all right.
No,
you're
it's
right.
fun. It's really good. It's just it's kind of too easy.
Yeah.
In the same way, like and I think it gives you the illusion of management when you don't actually have the management. So,
Give me
but
management games all day.
yeah, but it's good. I mean, it's really well made and pretty as well. So
I'm sure there were others we missed, but man, that was just breaking down that list. What a haul. This is just ridiculous. Still, just looking at it, you got to get this bundle. Like, even if you got a lot of these games, man, this is just way too good.
Yeah, it's well worth grabbing.
It's
Now,
so
that
good,
being
I
said,
own every single one of them.
Has any of us gotten it?
I did, yeah.
I did. Yeah,
Elise got
Okay.
it, too.
All right. Just checking. Just checking.
Just keeping us honest. I know.
I bought it even though I own like 90% of the games.
I think I might only not own Mini Metro. I think that might be it.
I think I actually bought it for The Witness because I don't own The Witness, and it's like, oh, $10
Oh,
off
yeah,
The Witness.
The Witness.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Great.
Good enough.
Like, real talk, I kind of want that R in a Nutshell book. Like,
What are you
first
talking
off,
about?
What?
the bird on the cover, I'm into that. Even though it wouldn't be sitting on my bookshelf, I'm into that.
Oh, which one is this?
R in a nutshell, it's like a programming language.
I
It's
didn't know you were into birds on covers. That's sweet as
Look
hell.
at this bird on the cover there, dude. He's loving it.
I love that too.
Oh, there it
It
is.
looks
Oh,
like
you like
just-
birds? Did you watch my bird video?
No, I'm at this. It looks like someone just farted like in his face, and then he's like, "Whoa, what's up with it?" And then I don't know. I mean, there's some other, like, on the book side, there's some stuff that's sort of interesting.
Yeah.
There's a book on JavaScript for game programming.
Yeah.
Maybe get some use out of that, but
That that manual though, that does look like it's from 1985. Hands-on intro to game programming.
which is hilarious because I don't know, JavaScript on HTML5 only came out, I don't know, like 5 years ago or something. So maybe want to, a testament to maybe hiring a graphic designer to do your cover for you and
Programmers, yeah, that's not their forte. All right, sweet. Oh yeah, Humble Freedom Bundle. Regardless, I mean, I really hope this isn't polarizing to anybody because we're looking at this like, fuck, dude. Regardless of where the money's going, that's a great deal. You got to get that.
Yeah.
Oh, and they didn't sponsor us to sell it or anything
No,
either.
yeah.
If anybody was wondering, it's a good deal. That's all.
Just want to let you know. All right, let's talk about Hearthstone because there are some big changes actually. I gotta get into bird voice whenever I defend Hearthstone. Hearthstone's approach to expansions completely changing in the year of the mammoth. They're going to make a lot of adjustments. A lot of players saying probably a long time coming. as the current meta is not
meta?
exactly where they'd like it to be. Look, man, if I'm going to intro a story, I got to have a little bit of leeway for some fuck-ups, all right? You got to give me some room.
I demand perfection at all times.
How
are we going to dethrone the co-optional?
I'm just going to read stories now. I'm not going to make up my own stuff. As we approach a presumed spring launch of Hearthstone's first expansion of 2017, they are going to rotate out some cards. That's the big starting news here, which is really interesting to me. So they're taking 6 of the most popular classic cards, and they're rotating them into what they're calling a Hall of Fame set. So that means they're no longer going to be available for standard play. Those cards include the Azure Drake, which is a 5 cost that gives you spell damage +1 and a draw card, which a lot of people more or less just considered, if you don't have this in your deck, why don't you have this in your deck?
It basically, in a lot of decks, it's an auto-include. Like, it fits every archetype and is played constantly.
Mm-hmm. You also got Sylvanas on there. It is a common inclusion in decks. The Death Rattle lets you take control of a random minion. I won't explain everything. The people that actually care about this stuff probably understand this already. Ragnaros the Fire Lord is on there. You got Power Overwhelming, Ice Lance, and Conceal. So they're big cards. I mean, like they are obviously making a big difference in the current meta. Otherwise, they wouldn't be Hall of Famed at this point. It is an interesting step that they're taking here, though. I'm more interested in the fact that they're actually doing this as opposed to the particular cards that they've chosen to rotate cards.
They don't have a choice anymore. Hearthstone, as we were saying prior to the show, I got pretty heavy into Hearthstone over the past couple of months, and it's one of those games that as I've said many times, it's one of my favorite games to play that is incredibly poorly balanced. It is it's a game that could be great, but I like playing anyway. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they leave some of the amazingly powerful classic cards in rotation that make the meta stale as shit. And they have this weird way of they keep introducing low power cards or low cost cards that are more powerful than some of the high cost cards in there. And with each expansion, and it just makes the meta more and more and more stale.
The same thing happens in Magic, though, and it's kind of, in my opinion, a nearly unavoidable consequence of having a game that's a little bit pay to win is that people are like, okay, I have to roll the best deck, because if I roll the best deck, then I'm spending the least amount of money. I don't need to have a wide variety of decks. They just want whatever's going to get them the most wins, basically. Mm-hmm. But you end up seeing the same 5 or 6 deck archetypes over and over and over, especially a month after an expansion comes out. So I do agree, though, that pulling some classic cards that have dominated or at least been factors in multiple years of metagame is probably a good thing. And, someone who never crafted Sylvanas, I guess lucky me,
For those of you that did, you'll be happy to know that for every copy of those 6 classic cards that you have, you're going to be awarded the full dust value for each of them. And so not just the crafted value, but the actual full value of the card, which is pretty great.
That's good.
That is good, yeah.
The other thing that they're doing that I like is they're introducing these platforms. These you hit certain ranks and then you can't go below those ranks, which is really nice because in competitive, you roll the same 3 decks because the only ones anyone else is playing, they are the most powerful, and it's the only way you can rank up. So that way, hopefully, these platforms will allow people to play more variety, more fun decks, and not just roll Pirate Warrior, Reno Mage, and Aggro Shaman.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of dust value. I'm thinking about if I owned these physical cards and I had them on the shelf for years and years, how much dust would I actually accumulate? And I appreciate that Blizzard understands that about the difference between digital and physical and mail you the difference in dust.
Full value.
Full value.
Not just the disenchant value. You get the full thing.
That's good.
I mean, you guys have all played Hearthstone more than me.
Not me.
Well, yeah. But the other 3,
I played Magic mostly.
Yeah.
15 years of experience, if you remember the meme.
I mean, I played maybe 20, 40 hours of Hearthstone, but I don't know. As a casual player, the game's fine for me, But that's because I don't play ranked. I know that, it's 1 or 2 decks, especially in this meta right now. But I'd imagine it's got to be hard to balance a card game, right? I mean, it's got to be hard to not have one prevailing strategy because it happens in every competitive esport.
Yeah.
You're going to see every patch. I mean, I mentioned this before the show, but in Dota, if a patch lasted 3-4 months, by the time that 4th month rolled around, there's going to be a set of heroes that are just, these are the strongest heroes of the patch.
Yeah.
But it happened so quickly in Hearthstone. I remember when
that was what
when
I was going to
patch-
say.
Yeah. When the patch came out, I was seeing people streaming Pirate Warrior day one.
Yep.
So, you know.
And I think about that actually a lot. Like, why does Hearthstone, within a week, does everybody, like, the net decking, the most powerful decks you can possibly have, how come it's so fast? I don't know if I'm right, but a lot of the things I think of is, like, Hearthstone doesn't have a complex enough rule set for there to be much nuance. Like,
Right.
it's a pretty simple, it's basically Magic, but, you know, minus complicated rules. And because of that, there's really only so much you can do with each deck, so that within a week, you know, because the rules only work this way, you're going to have these best decks. And the way Blizzard kind of works around, like, simplicity is like, well, we have randomness in our game, so you can have these silly random decks.
Right.
No one fucking plays random decks because you're not going to win with random decks. And no one's running
me.
Noggin Fogger. No one's
Excuse
running
me.
Noggin Fogger. Yeah.
I'm running a Renounce Darkness Warlock deck. That's getting me carried up through standard ranks. I'll have you know.
I don't know if
from
I'm
25
right,
to
but
24,
That's
maybe.
right. That's right.
do you think I'm, like, on the right track, or am I, like, way off?
Well, I think my opinion is that you're overthinking it, and the reason
Maybe.
that people know that these are the best decks, like, within a couple of weeks of expansion launch, is because there's a number of, like, there's a ton of streamers and a ton of websites that, like, is basically their job to optimize these decks, and then they publish videos or streams or articles that are like, hey, here's the best deck. Like, this Hearthstone community is full of people that are, like, really smart. So they do data analysis, and within, like, you know, maybe 24 hours of the expansion being out, you can see, like, oh, this deck has, like, a 58% win rate. So that's what I'm going to roll with right now. So, I mean, it's the kind of thing where everybody is part of their own problem. Like, everybody's part of the problem. It's like that you're not in traffic, you are traffic thing. Where, you know, you're using a net deck. You get beat by a net deck, and you go, oh, fucking net decks. Why doesn't anybody build their own shit? And you build your own shit, and you lose, like, 8 times in a row, and you're like, okay, I'm going to use a net deck.
I think part of it is that it is still a fairly new game, relatively speaking. As far as, like, card games go, like, I think because Magic had so long, I think Magic at this point is, like, they're getting to the point where maybe it's too complex. There's too many different factors, and they're having to just sort of abandon previous what is the word I'm looking for? Like, previous card conditions.
Keywords?
Or,
Archetypes?
yeah, any of those will do. They, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
One of those.
like Infect, for example. There's hardly
Yeah.
any Infect stuff anymore these days. They more or less have just forgotten about it because it's too complicated to try to work everything together. And Hearthstone is still at a point where, like, they have every different element of the game that they can still, you know, operate within, and most cards still get to at least, you know, like, see the light of day. But I think it's just maybe a symptom of its early age, that maybe when a few more of these 130 plus card expansions, which apparently they're going to have a lot more of now in the coming years, I think once we see just, like, a shitload more cards enter the fray, I'm pretty sure that's going to be about the point where it's like, okay, maybe there's not, mathematically speaking, these 3 decks that are going to win.
I don't know. It's possible, but I think the ideal that people have for card games is that it's going to be like every time you play, it's going to be different. But, like, in my experience, at least with Magic, that doesn't happen. Like, if you go to, like, a big Magic tournament, like a GP, you're like, round 1, I'm playing, like, okay, Abzan aggro. Round 2, Abzan aggro. Round 3, Abzan aggro. Like, there's, like, maybe 3 or 4 decks. Like,
there's just, like, a few more than that, aren't there? Like, in the top 8, you probably
in
see
standard, at least. It's
yeah.
But then sometimes, like, you know, I'm running Esper Dragons, and then someone will be like, I'm running, you know, Esper Reflect, and there's, like, a 3-card difference. So you're like, okay, you're both running the same thing, like, as far as I'm concerned.
It kind of comes up and comes across a bit like the fighting game community, in that there's sort of tier lists that emerge, and then people start to go with the top few and then maybe tweak them a little bit. But there's the same thing. You kind of play a certain character differently in a fighting game.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you like main Abzan, but you, like, tech in a couple of cards that you prefer for your playing style or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably a metaphor in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I agree. I will say, like, I think that the thing that we haven't talked about yet is that it sounds like they're basically getting rid of adventures or rolling them into expansions, and I think there's positives and negatives about that. So what's bad about adventures is that they're pretty expensive, and you don't get as many cards as you get in an expansion. So usually it's just like an augmentation to the meta game. Like you get a little bit, but not that much. But what's great about adventures is that if you buy like $30, everybody gets all the cards, or $25, whatever it is. Everybody gets all the cards, so they're on the same level, and you're not playing that like gotcha machine over and over. So I think adding a wider card base every year is probably going to be good for the game, and hopefully good for variety as well. But I think overall I am glad to see expansions go. Or sorry, to see adventures go or get rolled in, because they kind of felt just like half expansions for the most part.
I don't know. I liked the single-player adventures, to be honest. Like, I especially the more recent ones. I think they've taken a lot of liberties with them that you definitely wouldn't see in the multiplayer, or maybe not outside of the tavern brawl. Like, they've done some cool, fun, interesting stuff. You know, like the cave escape, for example, in the whichever expansion that was, the
League of Explorers.
League of Explorers, right? Where, you know, it's not really a game, the Hearthstone game anymore. It's like a random chance adventure sort of thing. And they're not, you know, I'm not going to say these are, you know, really even life-changing experiences for me. It's you know, it was fun little quirky stuff that I enjoyed out of Hearthstone, but I'm not
They
going
can
to really
roll
miss it too
that
much.
stuff into Tavern Brawl.
Yeah, so I don't think I'll miss it too much, but I do kind of feel like, oh, you know, I kind of like that. I'd play more.
As a casual player, they've always interested me. But and I played the first one, the one with the spiders. I don't remember what that was.
Curse of Noxramas, I think.
Something like that. Yeah. I played that and I liked it. And I would have liked to play more, but honestly, the barrier to entry is like pretty high. Like there's a pretty big paywall.
Yeah, $25 I think per adventure.
Yeah, and like as a casual player, it's not something that I want to spend money on. And then for me, like that makes it feel like it's something for the hardcore players of the game to play, and then I would imagine the hardcore players of the game are going to be playing that just to get the cards anyway. So you know, it's kind of like waste. It's it's a waste of resources, right? I mean, it's just like making this story mode that people don't really. They just want to get the cards out of it.
It was also
you can grind in-game gold for it,
right?
It's not as bad as a lot of games. Oh my god, this cat is scratching itself. My webcam is like the big one's hidden. But, you can get it in game. It probably would take you like to earn the $20 or $25 you need for the expansion equivalent in in-game gold. Probably takes like maybe a month, 6 weeks, something like that. So you can get it. You can get it for free, but you are basically, you know, valuing your time at like 45 cents an hour or something. So
yeah.
Well, speaking of valuing your time, Blizzard apparently does. They're going to be introducing daily login rewards to Hearthstone as well for the first time ever.
Cool. Oh, that's cool. It's become a mobile game.
Yeah, it's a mobile game. That's great.
And I mean, it is.
Yeah. It is literally a mobile game.
They're embracing the monetization schemes that are most traditionally associated with mobile games.
It's hard to complain about this too, honestly. It's just
that's
hooray.
cool.
Yeah, I already had like daily quests, so
Yeah.
We've also got a new hero on the way, Maeve's Shadow Song. We'll go live with a new expansion. I'm going to try to say that again. Maiev?
It's
Maiev?
Yeah.
Maiev Shadow Song.
Yeah. She was a warden in Warcraft 3.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What they haven't added any classes to the game, right? Like they haven't.
No.
It's always the same.
It's always been the
just
same.
alternate hero like portraits and voice lines and stuff.
Would you guys like that? Like I know, I would like that. Would make me play the game again. You know, is a new class, but I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Would that be something that like hardcore players would be into, or would that like shake up the meta?
I can't
too
even
much?
imagine balancing that. It's hard enough to introduce a new fucking card, much less a new class of character. That'd be ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I think that would be pretty cool. But
They should make it like a Warcraft Heroes iOS game that you summon heroes and then you like fight stuff.
Yeah. Turn-based
Like that,
RPG.
I would
Idle
play
Heroes.
If they introduced a new class, how the fuck would they get away with that though? They'd have to introduce class cards going all the way back to whatever standard deck or is currently in standard.
Yeah, it would be
be a lot of
quite
work.
the undertaking.
Yeah.
What would be the new class's hero power too? We
Well,
gotta
yeah.
speculate
I mean,
that.
you
do,
have
like,
Demon
Death Knight.
Demon Hunter from Legion. You can use that, and Death Knight as well.
There's loads of classes that were in all the Warcraft games that could totally work. I mean, like the Death Knight, Demon Hunter, Warden, even Maev, whatever.
Pandarian, the list goes on and on.
Yeah,
Right?
gotta have those
exactly. Yeah.
Pandarians are not a class; they're a race.
Oh,
Yeah. Excuse me, streamer.
But they're primarily monks, so monk would be the
I
class.
see.
Yeah, there you go. You got that.
Sorry,
Wow.
chat.
Be cool.
Sorry, chat. You can yell
It'd be
at me
cool. I'd be
later.
into it.
You can yell at me
That's
later during
dumb.
our Twitch chat Q&A.
When are they gonna make Warcraft 4? That's what I want.
Never.
There you go. Yeah.
RTSs don't make any money right now.
That's a good point.
It's sad.
You're not going to see Warcraft 4 for years.
hmm
Maybe Kickstarted.
Dude, that would be. I would actually like if
You would
Blizzard
Kickstart it?
was like, if Blizzard was like straight up like, hey, look, we know that this game is not going to make us any money, but if the community wants it,
If they can-
I know that they would, but like I would totally Kickstarter. I don't
If
care.
Blizzard needs to kickstart Warcraft 4, I'll shit on them forever.
Now, what's going to happen is all the old developers of Warcraft 1 through 3 leave and make their own
That's
studio,
it.
and then you're going to get War Building, the first
Yeah,
one,
right.
And that's and it's like a spiritual successor.
that would be Craft Hammer 40K.
Yeah,
That's what they would
exactly.
make.
Rob, you can't say the words, I would support a Blizzard Kickstarter. It's just not
I'm
allowed.
allowed to say what I want. Okay.
It's not what we brought you on this show for, damn it. You're
You're here
supposed
for
to...
4 honor and to agree with us.
That's right.
And that's it.
It's a circle jerk, damn it.
That's true.
All right.
That's fair.
Speaking of that,
He just wants pets, man. He's going for the
He
boobs.
wants his food.
Oh, little kitty.
you're a cutie.
I think you're all gay, Ruka.
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
now, hey.
You're
very
not supposed to
nice.
use that as pejorative anymore.
Ruka,
Kat.
it's-
Come on now.
It's the modern era. You can't say that.
2017, Ruka. The times.
He has controversial opinions.
Invisigun Heroes. Let's talk about that real
Mhm.
quick. Anybody, Ryan, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so Invisigun Heroes is a 2D action game that's multiplayer, and you play it online. Here's the gimmick.
Here we go.
You got a gun. That's one part of the title. You play as a hero, 2/3 done, and you're invisible. What that means is that you're even invisible to yourself. So when you start, you just see the map, and then there's little things that you can follow to let you know where you are and where the enemies are. Like if you ever shoot, you show up for a second. If you bump into a wall, you show up for a second. So you kind of have to, like, in your head, keep an idea of, like, I'm here and my enemy's over here, and you try to, like, shoot down a row or down a column to try to hit them where you think they are or where you think they're going to be when your shot also arrives. Some variety of different characters, like 6 or 7 maybe. They all have unique power-ups, like they can have a reflector shield or a sword, and if you swipe a bullet, then you get like a powered-up shot, and there's other various stuff. Many game modes. One of them is like Last Man Standing. One of them is basically King of the Hill. Another one is essentially, what's the Halo mode? Oddball? You grab like an object and then you hold it for as long as possible. So they have like an oddball mode in there. And it is an interesting game. We played it Monday for like an hour, and it was reasonably fun to play, and apparently really not that engaging to watch for our
Weird. A game about watching invisible heroes on a map is not fun to watch at all because there's
turns
nothing
out
happening.
that it's very tough for chat to watch because they can't see anything. So there is
They
a
see a map.
replay that happens. Like they play like a replay of basically the final kill with everybody revealed, so you can sort of tell what's going on. But apart from that, it's like it's a little tough to watch. I can understand that.
It'd be kind of sick if they had like a secondary feed that you could capture that shows where everyone actually is for the audience.
That's
But
what
you don't
everyone
have
was
to
saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I obviously get why they wouldn't want to include that because
yeah.
like,
Obviously, just
if I've got the
cheating.
secondary
Good faith.
feed, I'm gonna
Right.
be like,
What
Yeah.
stops
the
you
temptation
from
there?
What stops you as from standing still and not moving, and not causing any disturbances in the map?
You could just stand still, yeah.
But I mean,
Sometimes-
gain anything from it, really. I don't think. I mean,
No, but you just keep an eye out for everybody else. No, you're not giving anything away.
Yeah, I was really wondering, like, when you guys were playing, I know Austin just, used his math brain and figured out the best way to play. But, like, when you were playing, did you start to develop strategies, or what was the... I'm trying to figure out what I would do if I was doing
one
this.
thing that's neat that you can do is it counts down like 3, 2, 1, go, and then like between 1 and go, your moves you can input, but they show on the screen and you're still visible. So what you can do, not that I had great success with it, but is you can kind of like fake, and while you're visible, you're like, okay, I'm going to move to the right, and then as soon as you go invisible, like move in a different direction, like 3 or 4 tiles or something, and then they'll have no idea where you are.
Right.
But they know where you are, so they take a shot, and then you know where they are, and you try to like hit them like that. But
Got it.
Yeah, there's cool potential in that, I see.
it is like compared to Screen Cheat, which is very similar, that first-person shooter where everybody's invisible, but you know where you are, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit more engaging because it's in 2-dimensional space. It just seems like easier to know where enemies are, but it is. It's challenging.
Yeah.
Just to even know where you are. Like if I go back and watch the VOD, there's times where like we're just like bumping into the wall like 8 times in a row. Just like, there. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's all real time, right? It's not like Frozen Synapse or something where you take your moves and wait.
Yeah, it's real time.
Okay.
It's real time, but it does have elements of like a turn-based, almost like a rogue type of thing, because all the levels are blocked out into tiles, and if you make one move command, you're gonna move one tile over. I don't know. Like I played it as well, but I only played an hour, so whatever I say, grain of salt and all that. But I don't know. It seemed fun. It didn't seem like the maps were necessarily balanced around the characters so much. Like some characters were just kind of useless on some maps. But again, I only played an hour.
Were the spawn points randomized?
No, it's always 4 corners.
Yeah. But you switch.
Okay.
I think you switched your position like each round or something too.
So that's the incentive to move, is people know the default position.
Right. I mean, like the game starts.
You see
it gives
everybody. You see everybody spawn in too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then it's like
and you
get
see
like a
their
faking
first
out
couple of
period.
steps too.
Yeah.
Like in the 3-2-1 before you fight, you get to see what they do. So
Right.
It's almost like it's kind of like a real time Atlas reactor, but if Atlas reactor, you were always invisible. If that makes sense.
that's my secret.
That went one
I'm
step too
always-
far for me.
Because like an Atlas reactor, you're sort of invisible. Like if you break line of sight or you're full cover, you can't be seen, but you're always invisible. So you're always making like a predictive shot. You're never actually like, unless you're really new, which we were, rarely are you like, that guy's there, I'm going to shoot at him. Instead, it's a lot of like, he was there, so I'm going to shoot here because he could go there by the time the shot arrives.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find a lot of did the maps provide a lot of variety, or was it more of just the blocks are blocked sometimes?
They did, but like I think we wanted less actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
kind of.
Some of the maps were too hazardous. I think like there was one map that had like a big ice vent. If you when it fired, it just froze you and revealed you on the map frozen. And there was some that were like, there's like fire that blocks your path. I can't remember if it killed you, but there's like fire that blocks your path and makes it tough for you to move around.
Yeah, and then there was the one with all the conveyors, like the entire map was conveyors. And
Could be after you get better, maybe you would value that more.
Right.
Maybe over
Probably.
It is possible, yeah. I think it's one of those games that is, if you were at like a PAX or something, this is one of those games you could play for like a couple hours. If you're at the show floor, you could play it for like an hour, and then you'd be like, "Oh, this is really fun." And then when you get back, not to insult the game, you play it on the show, and you're like, it really benefits from that, like the energy of being in the live environment as opposed to online.
Yeah.
Does it have 200 million combinations? Because that's kind of what I thought.
Well, one definitely.
Keep going, man. Just let it out.
No, but one definite point.
Going through hell.
Did you have something you wanted to share, Rob?
The game has online multiplayer.
Oh, yeah. Wow, good.
So there you go. You got
That's
that.
true.
Awesome.
That didn't even use that word that you wanted to say.
He just gave up on that one, I think.
Although it does do the one thing that's stupid of some indie games where it's just like, oh, you want to change the game mode? Make a new room.
Yeah. Also, here's your IP. No, it doesn't do that. Hopefully,
You can direct connect, but it doesn't.
For Honor
it doesn't
does.
reveal it.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
does
it?
Mhm. Yep. You can
Wow.
get the network. You can get the IP address of anybody that you're playing with.
Come
That was a problem with Siege for a while. I thought as well when
Yeah.
it first came out. Is that
And that zombie shooter that we tried to play
Mhm.
multiplayer with Quill and Arumba
Killing
that one time.
Oh no, yeah,
Oh.
Killing Floor.
Killing Floor. They did.
Oh,
They put it like in the bottom corner of like the screen.
Yeah, that was.
Oh god.
Yeah, we recorded that one video, and I was like, "Hey, Quill, is this your IP?" And he's like, "Yeah." Where'd that come from? And they just have it on the screen.
We streamed that though.
Yeah. Well, did they do that in Killing Floor 2? Because like that was around the time my. Yeah. It's not for Honor. It's not an easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get the info.
You got to be looking for it.
Yeah, but you can get it, unfortunately. So.
We need a constitution that all indie game developers
Yeah, like
sign
the
on to.
Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
We need,
Exactly.
well, there are a few things we need to put on there, actually. One, don't put our IP addresses on the screen.
Yeah.
Number two, windowed mode, please.
Yeah.
Sure.
Really
Yeah.
important.
Borderless window.
Yeah,
preferably,
ideally,
to be
yeah,
honest.
that'd be good.
Even more so than don't put your IP on the screen. I mean, that is like important.
Yeah.
The other thing is like, don't make it so if you press pause, like it's present in any options menu. Like that's.
Yeah.
If I want to
yeah,
know my
yeah.
IP,
Mhm.
I can find it. What I don't want to have stream, I gotta go take a piss, and then you pause it, and then like,
Just in
Because you're-
case.
yeah,
Don't have escape quit to the desktop under any circumstances until you've had a prompt.
Mm.
Oh, you're just like speaking in generalities?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's
and-
one of the things I want on the Constitution.
Right.
And when your game ends, don't automatically quit to the desktop as well, because
Yes.
I've done. Well, that's not a major problem, but in Unity World, it is.
Yeah.
You got any,
that's the
Mathis?
worst.
You need to make any
But
mandates?
I mean, you've got them all pretty good right there.
All right.
Remappable buttons.
Yeah, don't make it look like you can remap the buttons,
Ubisoft.
but you actually can't.
Don't hijack my mic sensitivity.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
God.
just get rid
Gotta
of
go on
Uplay.
there.
Just take all what that we learned from Uplay and make
Reverse it.
anti-Uplay.
Did all of those things apply to Uplay except for the escape to quit?
Kinda.
Actually, in For Honor, I couldn't figure out how to quit. I had the opposite problem. I could only Alt F4.
Well, actually, For Honor, I don't want to jump into For Honor before here, but before you get to the point, but
Okay, we're in the Geneva Convention right now.
Yeah.
one of the things that game does too is another, for me, cardinal sin of video games, which is have your UI change contextually based on like what screen you're on. So like the location of quit with group or quit yourself is the same button sometimes, or sometimes quit to desktop and quit to main menu is in the same location as the other way. Or when they have that metagame thing, you know, with the deploy war assets and stuff, like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just queue another 2v2. But oh, actually the 2v2 moved over here and you were actually just queued for Dominion instead.
You wanted to play Dominion, didn't you?
Yeah, right, yeah.
I do have that a lot. Like I feel like I'm queuing up for the mode that I want, and then when I get started in the game, I'm like, I don't want this.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So when I started the queue for,
It's because they move it around for whatever reason. So,
Bastards.
yeah.
And anytime I boot up a game, let me fucking skip all the splash screen bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Skippable
Immediate
splash
access to
screens.
the options menu without having to play 20 minutes of the game.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's my number one. That's First Amendment for me. Is like, let me get to options before I have to do anything. Because, you know, when I boot up the game, it's like, oh, all of a sudden my ears are blown out because I can't get to the options at all. And then I'm playing it 640 by 480. Yeah, no, this is great. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And when you hijack my mic settings and I can't fix them, everyone in my Discord call has to wait until I'm done with the tutorial so I can fix my mic. That's crazy.
I don't know how
well, it's
hard
clear
it is.
like this is not something that Ubisoft is doing from the ground up with every game. Like clearly they made this for like Assassin's Creed 3 on PC, and then they're like, well, we'll put a lot of time into development, and when we can just reuse it for every game we make for the next 4 years. That's really smart, except when you boot it up and then you know instantly you can hear like people having conversations on the street level outside.
You think it's at this point? It's like they probably got a team or like the whole team that are like, I mean, we should fix Uplay, but we don't have to. We don't have
who
to
cares?
do all
Still
this other
making us
stuff.
money.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of contractual thing, right? At this point, it's got to be right because they can't. They got to know that this is hurting them, not helping them.
Well, they can't give it up either. So
well, that's what I mean. Like that's what I'm saying.
Like it doesn't make sense
be...
financially to fix it, and they also can't give it up, so it just remains Uplay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like I was thinking that like it's got to be like the investors probably we're gonna make this platform to play all our games on.
Yeah,
and then they can't go 4 years later. Oh, hey, that totally failed. Remember those millions of dollars? Sorry.
I wish we could just get someone that works at Ubisoft and ask them directly, but they wouldn't probably be able to say anyway.
I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
Don't look at me.
Yeah.
And there's, I imagine, like, I mean, I'm talking out of my ass, but I imagine it's a lot of, like, organizational inertia. That, like, so you're coming up with this game, and you're like, well, what's our competitive advantage? We already have, like, a harness that works. We'll just plug that into our newest game, and then we don't have to develop the net code and voice over IP and stuff like that to begin with. Instead, we've already got it built. But at some point, I would really like for one of two things to happen. One would be Ubisoft to just say, fuck it, we're scrapping it, and then we're going to put it out on Steam with, like, I don't know, Steamworks multiplayer or something like that. And the other one would be, like, we're going to keep it, but we're going to rework it so it actually doesn't do things that are stupid. Like, there's no reason why, like, it hooking into your recording settings for your microphone is okay, except why does it crank it to 100? Like, at what point?
Not only that, but why does it crank it to 100 and then you reset it, and then if you join somebody's party, it re-cranks it back to 100?
Yeah.
I don't think it does that for me.
I don't know why, like, to hook into it, and then when you adjust the volume in Uplay, it adjusts your own microphone volume. I get that. However, why would they be like, it'd be sick. Don't keep it at what they have it at. Just crank it to 100 every single time.
Yeah.
Makes
well,
sense.
they're the same volume slider, and they just assume 100 as the default. So rather than look for what you have it set it to, they just assume the 100.
Yeah. Well, Valve games do the same thing to your guys' microphones.
It's true, actually. Yeah.
Source games do that too. So, or for some people, I don't know why it does it to some people and not to others, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the same thing for me. I guess, like what Nick was saying, like it set it to 100 automatically. I actually kind of wish games would start at like 80 master volume or 40 master volume.
Just in general, I think I'm with you there.
Most people, they don't have as complex a setup going on, though, and you turn down your speakers, and that's it.
That's the thing, yeah.
Probably, yeah. That's true.
It's not only us, because it's not only a streaming problem, but I imagine, like, it's a game that is probably mostly played on console, for one.
Yeah.
And beyond that, a lot of people play, like, solo, or they're playing with a friend, and they're not even using their PC microphone, they're talking on Skype or something like that, or Discord, so... Well, I guess we are, too, but... Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That was like an Ask Roundtable that we just made up.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Skippable splash screens, though.
Yeah.
No, but there's licensing agreements.
That's got to be contractual too. Yeah, it's got to be. Like we need a 30-second Nvidia placement, best played on Nvidia, or else
the way it's meant to be played.
Tress FX, Lara Croft's hair,
Speed Tree
ad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man.
Speed Tree advertised. I love Speed Tree.
Like, I'm sure there are the actual, contractual obligations. I'm just gonna say though, like, I've made this point before. If there's 3 or more splash screens and I can't skip them, my odds of going back to your game actually drop. They do.
Yeah.
Like, it's terrible, but they do.
I'm fine to force you to watch them the very first time, and then you can skip them the second and more.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of times, it's always the same.
It's so silly. All right, that's enough Pete and Tree. Let me get into the.
It should be the Bible, though. If you're a developer, you should follow exactly those commandments.
Some of those are a little less significant than others, but there is some important
all
stuff
equally
in there.
important.
All the delicate duplicates.
Yes.
I talked about. Do I talk about this?
Dude,
What is going on today? Good God, man.
I spent
you have a few like little bit of like.
I fucking spent this whole morning doing PC troubleshooting bullshit, man. Like,
That'll melt your brain. That'll melt your brain.
One day, yeah. But sorry, please tell me about all the delicate duplicates.
All right, so this is a game that has just come out, like, literally today. I got a press code for it last night at, like, 2 a.m. I just decided to play it.
Nice.
It just looked pretty, so I was like, all right, let's jump in and try it out. The developers are Mez Breeze and Andy Campbell, and it was published by the Space One-to-One Development Trust.
Oh.
Mez Breeze Design. I just want to get the names in there. So it's going to be very difficult for me to describe this one because it's a very experimental, like, odd game. And I don't want to give it any spoilers, especially because it's very short. So any spoilers I give you, it's just like, well, you've seen the whole thing then. So the Steam page says, John, a single father, inherits a collection of arcane objects from his mysterious relative named Mo. Over time, John and his daughter Charlotte begin to realize that these objects have unusual properties. The more they are exposed to them, the more the reality and memories appear to change. So the way the game is structured is sort of like a Groundhog Day situation with like time travel. You keep appearing in this doorway, entering your apartment, and you can walk around the apartment, interact with various objects, and then eventually you reach a key item that will send you back to the start again, only time may have moved. And also you can press T to change time waves as well. And there's a bunch of them that have very minor differences and then some that are like drastically different. And so the idea is you're putting together a narrative by interacting with these objects and seeing how they progress through time and the changes to the physical environment in the apartment. And that slowly sort of undresses into a larger story that is... It's mostly very detail-oriented, it's very delicate, as the name suggests. That has to do with a couple very intricate facts that once you find out, you can't really undo knowing them, that will then change your perception of how the game goes. It's a very pretty game atmospherically. Sound design also incredible. It's just fun to walk around and just see the things that are in it. I tweeted a screenshot of it the other day. It's like super desktop material. Like just look around the panoramic of this outside area. It's freaking beautiful. Those moments, unfortunately, are rather short-lived. But I think what they're really kind of pushing the major plot points to it is not only the narrative, but also that the game narrative sort of unfolds based on the items that you interact with and when you interact with them. So you might get a slightly different perception of the same story depending on how you see things with each playthrough. And I haven't gone through and done like a second playthrough and seen how it differed yet. And I haven't gone through and like, there's a website that they have with some of the background details of some of the items, which could also inform some of the narrative too. Like I said, it's a sort of a montage of gameplay design, less so than just a traditional point A to point B, you learn the story, it's over kind of game. It's meant to be basked in for a little while.
Yeah.
But again, atmospherically, very pretty, very interesting game. I would recommend it. It's not even very expensive, but you have to be aware it's $7.99. It's just a very short game, and if you're not in the right headspace, I could see it putting people off that a lot of it is reading, and a lot of it is just sort of taking in information. It's not as much that you're exploring this massive world. It's largely just an apartment that you walk through like 15 times.
How Dear Esther is it? On a scale of...
I don't know what that means in terms of like, what about Dear Esther are you looking for? Because it is just it's a walking sim.
Yeah,
yes.
So it's like, I think, I'm not speaking from my own tastes here, but I think like a lot of what turns people off to Dear Esther is that there's not a lot of gaminess to it, right? So
yeah, it's very much like Dear Esther in that respect.
Okay.
Yeah,
interactive narrative with emphasis on the narrative, not the interactive kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah, it's walking, it's looking at objects, picking them up, turning them over, reading journals. It's quite a bit of that stuff.
Got it. Man, this two people?
Two people.
Looks very impressive.
The presentation is super polished.
Yeah.
It's really pretty.
That's really good. That's really impressive. Cool.
And it's an odd kind of esoteric game, so if you're into that kind of thing, like I am, you might enjoy it. Again, really the only criticisms I can give are just I wish it was a bit longer and elaborated more on the story, because right when it started to get really interesting, it just ended. If it had like another hour at least, I think like at the turning point of when it ended is when it really should have been just getting started.
Oh man,
right?
Yeah. But it's definitely a solid showing from these developers, and I would definitely follow them in the future and see what they've got coming down because it's good stuff. It's
Great.
Well produced.
Awesome. Apparently, they got a VR version coming late 2017 as well.
Yeah, that could be cool. I think that suits the gameplay.
Dope. You want to tell us about another one? Alwa's Awakening?
Yeah, Alwa's Awakening is a 2D Metroidvania platformer. I played about 3 hours of that on my stream last night. I think I'm about halfway through the game. It feels a bit like a Mega Man game, only you're a mage named Zoe, and you're tasked with collecting a few items to save the world of Alwa from the evil. It's just sort of one of those sort of Shovel Knight-ish esque is what I was going for there. Stories where it's classic gaming is really all it is. It's got very floaty kind of old school controls. I was feeling like I was leaning towards not liking it as much after the second-ish hour. And then I finished what I think was about the halfway point and realized that the items get upgraded because I thought there were only 3 items. And I was like, that's like really short. And then I found out I was actually like halfway done with the game instead of thinking I was like 80% done. And now I've gotten to the actual exploration part, which makes it a lot less linear, and I'm enjoying it more there. It seemed like chat was sort of hit and miss on the music. I thought it was pretty good, but it did seem to loop quite a bit. So I guess that's sort of your mileage may vary thing. The bosses seemed a bit on the easy side once you learn the patterns. You only can ever take 3 hits, which means your margin for error is pretty low. Eventually you get an item that lets you refill your health when you die, but like at most 6 hits means the bosses can't be particularly complex. Otherwise it would just be incredibly frustrating. So you're not dealing with a massive amount of variables there, but for the most part it's a solid retro style game. And if you like Metroidvanias, I think you probably do a lot worse than that. I mean, I guess I'm going to wait to finish it and see what my overall thoughts were. But so far, like I said, I was leaning towards not liking it. But now that I'm halfway, I'm sitting like 7 out of 10 territory.
Nice. I'm getting some 1001 Spikes / Lamu Lana vibes out of this.
Yeah, there's some of that too. There's some traps and stuff that none of it was really that difficult. The puzzles were not complicated for the most part. But it definitely had some of those contextual, like fireballs will jump out at you if you sit in the right spot kind of thing.
Right.
Cool. There we go.
Seems cool.
We got another short one here. Math is checked out. It's Northgard.
Yeah, Northgard. I got like 5-10 minutes I can talk about at most. But Northgard is a new game coming out on Steam Early Access on February 22nd. I don't know how much it's going to be, and the developer actually escapes mine. I've never heard of them before.
That is Shiro Games.
Shiro Games. There you go. But basically Northgard is a really cool mix of like civilization and city builder, like very light city building, which you are controlling Vikings in Norse mythology and expanding your land and expanding your borders and dealing with other AI and trying to win via like fame wins or just conquering, lore, trading. So it has all those civ elements. But the city building aspect I really enjoy. Each plot of land that you have can only hold a certain amount of buildings. And if you want more buildings, you have to claim or colonize other land near you. In order to do that, you need to spend food, and then the land becomes colonized, and then you can build like 4 or 5 buildings on that one, and then you kind of expand that way. In order to remove the fog of war of the game, you can take your scouts, and they'll go to the edges of the border, and they'll start doing this for like a minute or 2. And then afterwards, you'll see them. There's like evil monsters out there, like undead things wandering around, and big dire wolves. It's got a really neat twist. I think if you like things like Banished, there's a little bit here for you to really like. And if you like Civilization, I think this you're gonna like as well. Other than that, I think right now the game in its current state has about 5 hours of gameplay, maybe a little bit more. The single player campaign is not in it yet. It's just all like sandbox. You're going to play against how many AI you want, and you just try and win. But it's cool. I was actually thoroughly impressed because it was one of those games. You get a ton of emails like, check out our game. But this one, the video seemed interesting. I love the art style. It's very bright, vibrant, cartoonish, and I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely got some Banished vibes when I was first checking this out.
It looks like sort of a 4X mixed with an RTS. You can't directly control like your people, so you can click on your people and you're like, so the base civilian will stay as a civilian, and what they'll do is they'll automatically wander around, they'll scavenge food and bring it back, and that's what they do. And then you can click on them and turn them into like a woodcutter or a miner or a warrior, if you have the buildings to do that. And if there's enemies in an enemy territory, you have to clear them out first before you can colonize it. So if there's wolves and stuff, you have to kill them off.
But in order to do that, you take your warriors and you right-click on the territory, and then they'll go wandering into the territory, and they'll automatically go fight things.
Right.
There's very little like
Micro
control. I was like macro, and then it's very little micro control involved. They'll kind of just do what you need to do.
It's crazy that the studio that made this is the studio that made the Evil Land games.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Oh shit! Are you serious?
Yeah, that's wild,
I did not know that. I played the first Evil Land and I liked it. Didn't think it was amazing. But
it was like a gimmick, but it was kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah.
And then, Evil Land 2 has great reviews, but this looks like it's a big leap for them. So that's cool.
This is a big leap.
Yeah, Evil Land certainly struck me as more of a gimmick than an actual,
You're saying Evo Land.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying Evil Land. I've never heard of Evil Land.
I thought they were as well, actually. So I was like,
Land. It's
Evil
that
Land,
game that
yes.
you unlocked actual game elements in game, right?
It progresses through genre lineage in RPG history from old to new, essentially.
It starts as a basically Game Boy Pokemon, and then it I got to the point where it looked like Final Fantasy VII more or less, and then
that's about where I got, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I
bet that's the point a lot of people reached, and they were like, yeah, all right, I get it.
Now my nostalgia's out. I'm out of nostalgia. We're moving on.
This is really where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So what did they do in the second one then?
I don't know. I'm not sure. They looked like I looked at some screenshots. Look like there's some like Final Fantasy Tactics-esque gameplay in there, so maybe the gameplay gets switched up a lot more. But one of the other things I like about Northgard is you actually have to prepare for season changes as well. The year passes, and when winter comes, your food intake gets cut massively. And if you don't have enough food, your people start to die, and you'll have less warriors, less healers, and all that stuff. So you have to do I want to colonize these lands, which costs a ton of food, or do I want to start stockpiling for food for winter? How greedy am I going to be? And I like that. I like that kind of decision making.
Awesome.
Good. I want more developers branching out into strategy. Keep going, developers, because seriously, I love strategy games. I wish it could be more popular on YouTube.
Sweet. All right.
What we need a market for is people who like watching strategy games played badly.
Yes, absolutely.
Of a market for strategy games played optimally, but the people who tend to watch that stuff continuously, they're smart people and they min-max and they care about details. Whereas for the most part, at least in Factorio, we're very much big picture people.
The dedicated few that stick through watching us be bad at it, though, leave some of the most detailed responses I've ever seen.
That's true. Yeah.
Did you see somebody made a freaking post-mortem of what went wrong in the trains on Reddit? It was multiple pages of text.
I very much respect that. The 140 character criticism I got was like, "What are you doing, you idiot?" And then that one was like, "Here's what went wrong." And they talked about some things that I was very sympathetic to. They were like, "You gotta comment your functions. You gotta have good variable name."
I like comparing your late episodes of Factorio to Arumba's episode 6. And this dude has a city going in Factorio, and you guys are like, I can't rotate this properly.
Season 1 had some magic to it, man. It was that spaghetti world that I was so infatuated
with. You gotta
well,
watch the train episode.
I think I need to check
thing.
it out. Yeah.
Honestly, the first minute of the train episode is my favorite part.
It's actually like an Always Sunny episode where no one knows what's going on and everyone's yelling at each other.
Well, imagine that you wanted to order fried chicken with a side of mashed potatoes, but in this world, it's not called fried chicken, despite the fact that that's an apt description of what it is.
It's called place.
Instead, it's called Flim's Flam, and then a chicken fried steak, on the other hand, is called a Pwing Pwing. And then, can I get a Flim Flam with a side of Pwing Pwing? And they're like, no, Pwing Pwing is an entree, it's not a side. You can have a Flim Flam and a Pwing Pwing. And then you're like, okay, maybe we should. The point we got to at the end was everything is going to be named ABCD, and then one of the stations we exploded. Basically.
After it went through 8 different name changes for each of the stations.
I mean, I said it in Skype last night, but the one point at which I almost melted down was when you had the UI glitch. So you renamed 2 stations to A and B, and then the other 2 were still puddles with place, and switched
North Base.
I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Check out Northgard when it comes out.
Great though.
It's a great game.
It really is. I'm surprised I didn't realize how good it was for as long as it's been out, to be honest. Because it's really good.
I still think it's great. I couldn't keep up, man.
Cash
No,
out.
I feel you, man.
Can we talk about Golf It real quick? Nick?
Really? Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Because I'm curious.
Nick's like, I made a
I'm
whole coin.
I'm curious what you've done with it, yeah.
Well, so Golf It is a game that I believe just came out today, right? I think today was the launch day for it. I wasn't expecting to talk about this, so I didn't look into it. Golf It is out for $8.99 in early access. It will go up to $8.99. $8.09, right? Sorry, is what I meant to say. Is what it is now. And it is a simple mini golf game, much in the same style as Golf with Your Friends. It's got a working, functional online mode. It's got a cooperative level editor, which is a thing that I have not seen done anywhere yet. And it actually lets you play as many people as you want to get in your game to collaborate and build a golf course together. It's done in Unreal Engine, which, as opposed to Golf with Your Friends, done in Unity. So there are some like built-in shader effects and stuff that make it look a little bit differently polished, so to speak. Not that it's like neither is a bad-looking game. They both have their same sort of like cartoonish art style, but I find they have some very distinct differences rather between the two. But the big thing is the level editor. I think that's really where it's going to go for a long time for me. The fact that you can make courses and then put them up on Steam Workshop and then seamlessly grab them and play with people, like it's not even a thing. It's really easy to do. It's easy to make them, it's easy to publish them, and it's easy to play them.
That's perfect.
So that's like the little big planet, big three that I'm very excited to see come to mini golf. And I've been spending a lot of hours working on my Castle Keep course. I'm only 4 holes into the 18 so far, but I've spent like 20 hours on it.
I'm only 4 holes in, but I've spent 20
Yeah.
hours, and it's going good.
Oh, I'm balls deep in the game, and I've just been fucking these holes.
I've been really
need some
pushing
work.
the atmosphere of the place. I've been trying to make it like a cool ruined castle theme and have it be in like the middle of the night with dynamic lights lighting everything up, which is a thing. You can set that up.
Is this like, it's just the Planet Coaster of mini golf games, basically, right?
It is. It's a little bit more restrictive than Planet Coaster, obviously. There's not like as many options, but
Does it have more frames than Planet Coaster after like an hour?
it does seem to have more frames, except in the editor. It seems like it's got some memory leaks problems. When I was editing I think I was in there for 5 hours, it started to chug a bit, and then I restarted the game. It was back to normal again. But it's like early access still. It's not even done, so I can't really be upset about any of that.
Nope.
The game seems like by far the best mini golf game. It's got sort of a different style to shooting, where you have to like aim with right click and then left click back and forward, which might put some people off, but it's really not that big a deal. I got used to it pretty quick. I'm really excited to see where this goes in the future. It's already got 4 courses done and a 5th one on the way, and then infinite courses from everybody that wants to play. So I'm going to be playing a ton of that on my channel, and I hope to bring all of you guys in. We'll play it online together, too.
Awesome. This is
Cool.
It's cool just because, like, I think Golf with Your Friends actually did, or it, is seeming to kind of revitalize people's interest in. I bet people would like making, or I bet people would like playing a golf game where you can make your own levels and play with your friends and stuff. And it's like, yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I knew I wanted that the whole time. Nobody seemed to care, and now all of a sudden we're entering the renaissance for mini golf games.
I can't wait till they do that with Mario Party. Someone make a Mario Party game.
Well,
right?
yeah, that's sort of like a WarioWare Inc. problem, right? Like they need to apply that format to Mario Party, because they did actually make an editable WarioWare game, believe it or not.
Oh,
Really?
yeah.
I didn't know that, actually. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Neat.
Came out in late, like before 3DS came out, I think.
Huh.
It was not great, but it was okay.
Yeah. I just want Mario Party for the PC and make more kart racers,
Yeah.
Like,
Put 100% orange juices for.
yeah.
The kart racer?
Not the kart racing part, but
Kart racing really sucked in 100%.
no, not a fan. I thought
I mean, it's okay for what it is, but it's like a little too.
it's Weeb Mario Party.
I mean, I don't like to use racial epithets. So, I mean, it's a novel game to play for sure, but it's a little confusing. It is very Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really get into it. It seemed fine, but it wasn't really my thing.
It's
They didn't have
like,
the mini games. It was just
Yeah.
dice rolls.
It's just dice
right?
rolls.
It's
Yeah.
very, very like roll and move, I think.
Yeah.
All
That's fine, but yeah, more of that.
Word. Not gonna do Neo this week, and I don't know if we'll come back to it, but if we do, I'll let you know.
The consensus is good.
It's great.
Everybody
yeah.
seems to like
I mean,
it.
You may not need my advice anymore on it. It's pretty fucking great. So, let's talk about For Honor, shall we?
Yes, please.
For honor.
Rob, please take the reins.
So, if you want like critical perspective of For Honor, like I've said this on my stream already because I've been freebasing that game. You know, I've been playing 40, 50 hours of it, and
the best way to phrase it.
I really like it. But if I were a game critic, I would have such a hard time figuring out how to properly express my opinions on it because it's a great game at its core, but then all of that greatness is obfuscated by all these other things that make it just difficult to play. And I don't even and that's not the least of which to say the bugs and you know how hard it is to keep a multiplayer party going. But you know, the single player is lackluster, but I don't think anybody was ever really looking for that game to be a great. Well, okay, yeah.
That was actually like the main selling point for
Oh,
me,
was
so
it?
I was
Oh,
very
shit.
disappointed that it was garbage.
Yeah. There's really not much of the single player. It's like it's pretty much like I hate to use this term towards a game developer because it's disingenuous, but like it feels really like lazy game design.
Yes.
And and that extends beyond the single player to the multiplayer modes. Like the game really shines when you're in a one-on-one. When you're doing a 1v1, it feels great. Like because there's planning and strategy and execution and all of those facets are important in how to deal with each individual opponent based on like what they're doing. I mean, there's so many times on my stream where I'll be like, okay, he always opens with this move, and then now I know how to counter it, and then I'll just start smoking him, you know. And if he doesn't know how to bounce back, then he just gets wrecked, right? Or vice versa, it happens the other way too. That's fun. Dominion mode is straight up like, let's put in the 1v1 mechanics that are fun, but then throw 4 other people at you, and the game kind of breaks and doesn't really work that well, and you got to capture some points and
With power-ups and
whatever.
gear stats and all this other shit.
Yeah, and it's just and again, like it feels like lazy game design because it's like there's no depth to the mode. You know, it's capture the point, and you kill people, and you pretty much like when you're playing Dominion mode, you press right trigger over and over again.
Dominion
you know?
mode feels weirdly mixed of like capture the point plus we a MOBA now.
Right. Yeah.
With the
a little bit.
power-ups and the leveling.
I almost wish that they went farther with it, honestly, with the MOBA thing. Like
maybe.
If they even expanded it a little bit and it was more of a MOBA, I might even be more into it because then that would sort of allow me to get ganks going or whatever. Because like right now it feels like, you know, all right, I'm gonna walk to B, try to hit some creeps, and then all of a sudden I get gangbanged by 3 dudes and die, and it's like, all right, sure.
My experience with Dominion mode, I don't know if this is the same for everybody, but like they're like the enemy has taken C, so I like sprint from spawn to C, and there's nobody there, and then I stand in C until it captures, and then I'm like, there's nobody here. So then I walk out of C, and then like 30 seconds later, it's like the enemy's captured C. And then I go back, and there's nobody there, so I just stand in the point and capture it again. And it's like, if I want to fight, I can seek out fights, but if the point of the game is to capture points, as clumsy as that sentence is, I find myself oftentimes being like, I guess I'll just stand here where even though nobody's around, and then if an enemy shows up, we can fight here.
Yeah. And even then, like the thing is, and this is why to me it feels like. Sorry if I'm ranting. Tell me to shut up.
No,
by
please
all
go.
means,
Yeah,
but,
you're good.
But to me it feels like there are 2 teams coding the game. Like there was a team that was just like, we got to push Dominion mode. Dominion mode's awesome. Everybody's gonna love it. And then another team that was like, we have to make this like as close to a fighting game while not being a fighter game as possible, and have it be fun in the moment-to-moment battles, because a lot of the heroes, they describe heroes as escapers, right? Like they have escapes, which in MOBA terminology, that would mean they'd have like a blink or, you know, something that allows them to escape. But usually it's a skill-based thing. Yeah. An escaper in For Honor is just somebody who's faster than the other people, because the way that the game is designed, you can run whenever you want. Like, and if your character is faster than the other person's character, there's nothing that person can do. Like straight up, you just cannot catch them. Like if you're a conqueror trying to run down a Nobushi, you're never going to catch it. If they decide to run, they can do that. They can run out the clock in a 1v1 actually if they want to and get a tie. Well, not in a 1v1, but in like the 4v4 deathmatch, they can just run around the map, pick up power-ups, and you can't do anything about it. In fact, it is so heavily weighted towards that play style that you gain stamina back as you're running. Like, you gain your stamina back while you're running away.
Running is
Yes.
stamina-free.
Yeah. It doesn't cost stamina, and you run it, and you gain it back.
I didn't even
as you're running
realize
away.
that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, but the thing is, like, that's like so that's good for Dominion mode because a lot of times you're getting into these gangbangs, so you want people to be able to escape and run away. But it's really just turning and running. So with Dominion mode, you know, the right play if you're getting gangbanged at a point is to run away, and the right play if you're if a person runs away is just like, all right, well, just stand there and take the point. And then at the end of the day, the most optimal strategy to play that game would be to just stand at different points and not actually battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
If you have a projectile, can't you throw it at the runner?
yes, but those are
Cooldowns.
Yeah, they have cooldowns, and you have to level up to get those. So like in a MOBA, you have to level up in the actual game in order to
Things that just step on their own damn feet all the time, trying to make the game more complicated when it's at its core has a good idea.
I was playing with Force last night, and he only plays, just like you, Rob, the Orochi.
Yeah.
And he's like level 46 on that character. And we were playing, and he had such good gear and like all the best like stuff that you could get on that. He carried the team. We would get crushed, and he would be like 2v1, 3v1. He would just win because the gear has stats, and in Dominion mode it matters. Like that stuff actually affects how much damage you're doing and all this other stuff. So he would just destroy people as I would die within like, 10 minutes, and then he's running around just decapitating everybody. It gets really unbalanced really quickly.
Yeah. I mean, it's also it is sort of a it's a point towards how I actually think the game's balanced very well. I think
Without
most characters, without the gear set stuff, but like it's balanced really well in that any class can take on any class, which is I think important for that game because they have to keep to that because if they start doing hard counters and stuff like where one class has to be played to counter another class, it would just break the gameplay because you can't switch characters midway through a match. So if somebody plays a hard counter to you and then you just straight up lose because he's better,
I thought default Nightman was hard countered by Japanese Spear Lady.
No, not really. There's no. Everything has soft counters, but there's no real hard counters in the game, as far as I can tell. Outside of like some characters just suck ass, like Lawbringer. But I'm talking about all the negative stuff. I've been playing it for 50 hours. Obviously, there's a reason I've been playing it. I really like the game. At its core, it's so much fun.
What's the pure For Honor experience for you? What's the
1v1
best?
duel. 1v1 duel. 1v1 duel is the purest, and that's the most fun.
You can tell that's where the core of the design lies, is the 1v1 fighting, because there's so much depth there. Like I said, the first hour of me playing the game, I had to tell myself, okay, this isn't a hack and slash like I thought. This is a fighting game.
Yeah.
There's combos, there's preparation, there's strategy, there's a lot of kind of just stepping around each other, toying with one another, trying to figure out what your strategies are. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the game that gets marketed like you can
as
decapitate fools all the time as Dominion mode.
Like all the E3 stuff, all the commercials and stuff, they all show Dominion mode, so people think that's the thing. It's like a Dynasty Warriors, and you get to fight people online. But really, once you actually play it a little bit, it really is designed. Which is why I say it feels like there are two teams developing this game, because the 1v1 is so tight and balanced. And then the Dominion mode says, fuck all those great controls and stuff that you have in 1v1, and you're just going to have a bunch of flashes, and people are just going to keep pressing the right trigger and hit you a bunch.
What it feels like to me is somebody, like a small group, like a core cluster of people, decided they were going to make this project that was like this really cool 3D fighting game, and then Ubisoft's like, here's how we're going to monetize that. And then we're going to add power-ups, and then we're going to add armor, and we're going to add mini microtransactions, and then it's going to be a 3D fighting game with creeps. And all this stuff just kept piling on top.
Creeps give you experience, and you gain levels, and then you unlock abilities.
Right.
It just kind of turned it into another monster, like in another direction from what the original intent was. But that core kernel is good. It doesn't need all the stuff piled on top of it.
One of the biggest things I definitely noticed is oh my god, the reward system it's overstimulating. Like, there's too much going on as far as, especially in like the single player. I played 2 missions. I go up 5 story levels. I get like 40 unlocks. I'm like, what the fuck is all this stuff?
The screen flashes like it's a mobile casino. It's like all the shit sliding onto the screen.
It's
is
way
like
too much. Like, I don't
out.
know what half the shit is. I don't give a damn. I just want to play the single player, and we have to go through all these progression systems. Like, I don't need that. I just want to play the campaign missions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why do you want to play the game?
Yeah, there's no need.
Actually,
unlocks.
I played the campaign just for the unlocks because you get this like stupid like car hood ornament thing on your head as a knight.
Nice.
Yeah,
I soured like. So I want to preface this by saying that I actually really like For Honor. It sounds like I like it more than any of you except maybe Rob. But I soured on the single player when I had to play the tutorial in the beta, and then I had to play the tutorial when it came out. That's fine. And then when I started the campaign, it had the unskippable tutorial that you have to do again, and I was like, please, God.
That was like the 7th time I did the tutorial by the time.
They're like they're like a block to the left, and then the enemy just like only
It's
attacks.
just waiting. It's this horrible battle scene, and the dude's like, whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
When they open up like all the controls to you, and then he attacks you, you're just like parry, and then you slice his head off and do like a backflip over top of him, right? But at first they're like press RB to do a light attack, and you're like.
Can I say one of the other complaints I have about the game is that the game does a very piss-poor job at explaining its intricacies to you.
Yes.
The tutorial is like left trigger to block, right bumper light attack, right trigger heavy attack, and X to guard break. Have fun.
Yeah,
You're like,
you go.
oh, that's easy. I get that. It's just it's a combo system. And then you start playing, you're like, why are these people doing these weird moves? They glow orange, and why am I bleeding or like what's happening here? The game does terrible job at explaining what it is.
As much as it forces you into unskippable tutorials, it does a really bad job of tutorializing you because like I don't know why they decided to move the stuff that's in the advanced tutorial out of the regular tutorial because it's only 3 more things. Like the advanced tutorial takes like maybe 3-4 minutes, and you could have put it in the regular tutorial because they are vital to playing the game. Like being able to know that you have to parry, you could counter guard breaks and do revenge.
Parrying's not even in the tutorials, is it? Or
No, it's not.
It's in the
It's in the advanced thing. It's not
in the advanced tutorial. Yeah.
It is in the advanced tutorial. Okay. I didn't know it was.
It's not in the one that they forced you to play. Like advanced is optional.
Yeah.
And that's not an advanced thing. Like everybody at the like when you get at the outset, people are going to be guard break countering you. People are going to be parrying you. Like they're going to be using revenge. And the other thing is, like, in that tutorial, they kind of teach you wrong. So, like,
yes, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. When somebody goes to guard break, you press X to
straight
counter
up
it.
wrong.
No,
it's
that's not what you're supposed to do.
You're not
supposed to wait till they make contact and then press X, and then you can counter the guard
I had to go, because I couldn't figure out, like, they taught me, like, when you see the red shield, hit X to counter the guard break.
Done
And I couldn't figure it out. Like, I'm like, I swear,
Me too.
what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to fucking have spider senses? I had to, like, Alt-Tab, go to YouTube and be like, guard break countering in For Honor, and watch a video, and he's like, here's how you do it. And I'm like, oh, so not what they're telling you to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's hold on though, because this is one of the cases where like it sounds like we fucking hate this game.
Yeah, basically y'all are mad cynical.
Yeah, but like this is one of those cases where I think we want it to be really good because we see that it's got potential to be something totally awesome, and I think a lot of people see that. And I think that's kind of the general gist is like there's a lot of folks that sound like they're really pissed off about this release, but it's more along the lines of there's a lot of people that are really passionate about it that are probably still playing the shit out of it. However, they have a lot of things that they would really like the developers to focus on. to improve it in the future.
It's more of like it's a really great game that does a bad job at teaching you it's a really great game.
Yeah.
That's not even my problem. My problem is it's buggy as shit, and it's a $60 game with microtransactions. I don't like that very much at all.
What bugs
What are
are
the
you
microtransactions for?
Every game now.
I still am pissed about it every
You
time.
can still be mad.
I'm not going to stop being pissed about
But
it.
what
Then,
bugs
like,
have you had? Because I haven't really had that many bugs.
If you ever endorse a $60 game, it like compromises that criticism.
All right, well,
It's
they
the
had
issue I
a
have.
beta also, and the beta ended, and then now there's more bugs.
They had a
than
lot
there
of
were.
betas. They had like 5.
What is up with that?
They did
You
do
want to
some.
go down the bug list?
Yeah.
I want to
mean,
know,
they
like,
did-
do you have like game-breaking bugs that you've encountered, or I really
Oh, yeah.
haven't had that many, to be honest.
My game crashes all the time. But Jess straight up can't play it. Like
Really?
she's level 4 on her main character. She's played pretty much every game that I have played because I play with her on stream. She's level 4 because she hasn't been able to complete matches. And this is not something that is unique to her. This is thousands of people who are experiencing this actually. Even Ryan was experiencing it the other night when we were playing it.
Oh, yeah,
as
you
well.
were just like
Yeah,
dropping randomly. That was weird.
We resolved, like, okay, Ryan and Sinvicta can't play together because it has a mismatch to their NAT settings or something.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to have that ever?
Yeah.
There's also a really great bug where when you finish a match, you have like 3 seconds if the other team backs out to leave the lobby. Otherwise, your whole team gets disbanded
Yeah,
for no reason.
that's a good one.
The one about favoriting your campaign or your multiplayer mode, and then it gives you the opposite one?
That one's frustrating because the other one is so like this is why I say like it's hard for me to recommend the game even though I obviously have played a shitload. I love it. I actually really enjoy the gameplay, but it's hard for me to recommend because the multiplayer game modes have close to no depth. You have Dominion mode and then you have skirmish mode, which wasn't in the beta. And the skirmish mode is Dominion mode without points. So you just run into each other and start swinging, and that's all it is. And it has the power-ups and whatnot. And for some reason, it was bundled in so you have to queue it with elimination mode, which is the main mode people were playing on stream. I mean, if you watch everybody playing it on stream, everybody's playing elimination because they're playing with their 3 friends, and they're playing that. And now sometimes they get queued into this shitty game mode that nobody likes. And there's no objective based game mode. You know, I'm kind of I desire an objective based game mode like Chivalry because I think that would be a lot of fun. And if you play a couple of single player maps, they have some stuff, some assets that they used in that, and it almost seems like they were testing that because there's this one map where you have to push a battering ram towards a gate, and then you battle on top of the thing, and then you go and it works like it's a multiplayer map, but it doesn't. It's not in the game. So in some regards, it almost feels like this game was rushed out in some way. But I don't know. I really, really like For Honor, and I hope that they keep developing it, and I hope they listen to the community, honestly, because I would imagine the community is very like when I'm critical of it, I'm critical of it in the same way that I'm critical of Nintendo. It's from love. I really, really like the game, and I want it to be better. So that I can in good conscience, recommend a $60 purchase to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of think that like the game is not, and I'm not just being needlessly like the same way when we criticize Nintendo and someone in chat is like, leave Nintendo alone. I'm not trying to be that about Ubisoft, but I think that the game is not necessarily getting the credit that I feel like giving it for being a AAA game that actually has a new kind of loop
Yeah.
to it.
True,
That isn't
yeah.
just like, you have a gun and you're shooting a dude in the face.
It's
like
the Call of
Rainbow-
Duty loop with Melee, though. It's the same thing.
The Melee system is completely uniquely developed.
Yeah, this is
like,
it's a novel
true.
enough concept, I think.
the core gameplay is much more like a fighting game with like action game mechanics thrown into it than it is just like instead of a gun you have a sword.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that like that element is enough for me as a selling point that when I get into a one-to-one battle, it's not just like who shot first and who shot closer to like a vital organ or something like that. And Siege did cool stuff with that. Like the way that there was kind of barricades and like you choose an area to enter through and breach through, that was kind of cool. But I think that this is even a little bit more in the novelty camp. And I really think that 1v1, like if you get an honorable 1v1 fight that goes on for like phases, then that's really cool. It's not simply like you see someone and you see somebody else and then in 5 seconds, one of you is dead. It's got much more intricacy than that I think really drives it beyond just being, let me put it this way, like it's not buggy. Like Uplay is still trash for sure. But at the same time, I think like I feel pretty confident easily recommending it. Dominion's kind of shitty, but if you only play the dual mode, I think it's relatively worth it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine, though, that you bought it for full price and you're thinking, okay, I have this one friend that's going to play it with me, and then that one friend happens to be incompatible with you to play online. Wouldn't you be like, all right, I don't really want to play the single-player mode, and it isn't as fun without my friend? It's like, until they fix that, that's a pretty big problem. Yeah,
I mean, that's maybe I'm jaded, but they might never fix it. You shouldn't buy it on PC if that's a relevant concern.
That's unfortunately probably true. Like, I don't know. Will they? I know with Siege, at least. I never played Siege, but I know hearing from people talking about it that they did do a lot to make it work better, the online work better. I know that they swapped out their anti-cheat system entirely. They made Uplay's party system work a little bit better. So I'm hoping that they do that with For Honor as well. But I don't know. Like I don't know if I could 100% recommend it. Like if people are on the fence about it, I don't know if I should say fall off the fence on its side right now. But it's a game that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did. Because I didn't think it was a fighting game, but it really is like a non-traditional fighter. It's more akin to Super Smash Brothers than it is to
what else? Yeah,
Dynasty
Warriors, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's marketed not as what it is. Like it really is a non-traditional fighting game, which I love those, honestly. And so that's probably why I'm so into it right now. And I'm excited to play more. You know what it is it's sort of the combat system from Mount and Blade, and except prettier and tighter and more, easier to pick up and play, which is nice. I mean, it's really good. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Isn't the easy answer to just wait and see? Just wait and see if they fix the bugs. Wait and see if they make the game modes better. Like all of those things are just time.
Unfortunately, I don't think so, because depending on what happens in month 2, the player base could just be non-existent in a month.
Oh,
that's true. I mean? Yeah. And so like that. So if you want to play it, I'd probably get in on the ground floor, like so that you can.
Oh, that's such a weird counter to why that.
Yeah,
I
that's
hate
a
that.
very interesting caveat.
Because the thing is, because I really do believe that it's a fighting game at its core. Fighting games live and die on sort of the spectator, right? Like it lives and dies on esports, really, right? Like people are still playing Street Fighter V because people are watching tournaments of it.
Yeah.
The game doesn't have native spectator clients. They don't have they don't have a tournament system. Although they are setting that up apparently. Like that's going to be in the next patch. Is they're going to have a tournament mode. So if they start pushing in that direction, I think it would be great, because I would love to see great players battle against great players in that game. But I don't know if that's Ubisoft's main concern. Like, did they do that with Siege? Did they have esports with Siege? I don't know if they pushed it.
It's got decently big, like kind of mid-tail after release, like maybe the spring of like 2016, and then it dipped for quite some time. And then it came back up because they've been doing they just had their Velvet Shell update. I think they came out like 2 weeks ago or something like that.
Right.
And they did a PC and Xbox One Rainbow Six Siege, like big-ish tournaments. But I know they just canceled like the Xbox One side, but they're focusing on PC now. And the player base, as far as I know, is pretty healthy. To the point where like in Uplay, it actually has like a tab. At least, I don't know if it does for you guys, but for me, it's like, news, shop, Siege, games. Like,
does it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it does have that for me. I saw that.
I don't keep Uplay open, so I don't know.
I mean, me neither, but
I think it's a really great game if it's developed more. I think it's a great game at its core, and
Yeah.
if it keeps coming out with characters and keeps getting rebalanced and all stuff, like I said, I do really feel like it's very well balanced as well.
No,
I mean-
I do too. I think it's great. I kind of hope it gets the Siege treatment.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
they funnel more funds into it, because I agree with you, Rob, in that I honest to God think the mechanics are phenomenal. They're really well done. The game absolutely shines in 1v1s. And if they focus on that, then I think, like, and if they give it the Siege treatment, like I said, then I think, the game has a long lifespan ahead of
That
it.
actually does give me, weirdly enough, confidence in Ubisoft post-launch, because I think in recent memory they've at least shown that they care beyond the launch. Like they are going to put the effort in to try to make the games better. So I think there's going to be some substantial changes on the way for this.
I'm gonna keep playing it. I mean, I still really it brings me back to my Dota days, in where like I can go game to game and be like, feel like I'm getting better.
Oh yeah.
Except they don't last 45 minutes of agonizing.
Yeah, honestly, like the 1v1s are nice and short, and it's just like, wow, that guy is just better than me, and that feels really good. I don't know why, but like to me, it feels really good when a guy completely wrecks my ass, and it's just like, I know.
Yeah.
All right, fair. I like when a guy bends me over
you
and spreads
stopped.
me open, and he just punishes me, internally. But no, but I do like feeling that, because it's just like it's hard and deep, and it's inside of me.
Hell yeah, For Honor.
It feels good when a guy wrecks my ass.
Just totally obliterates me. Oh God. Hey everybody. Yeah.
Good shit.
Hey, raise your hand if you recommend people buy For Honor right now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see who'd go. Okay.
I just I thought I would love it actually. Like remember back when we first saw For Honor? I was stoked. Like
Yeah.
Jason
Oh, for audio
Vandenberg.
only, we had 3 out of 5, by the way.
Okay, yeah, we did.
Me and Bear didn't raise our hands.
Yeah, because like I got excited when I saw it, and I had been following it along. Like I went and checked it out at the Ubisoft booth at PAX Prime. I think I had an invitation actually to come check it out in San Francisco as well, and like I wanted to like it, and now I've gotten more into it, and I'm realizing, oh, this is actually kind of not a game for me. Like this is not the genre I like. This is a fighting game more or less, and I'm really not interested in those. So. I think it's not even necessarily. I don't recommend it because I don't think it's a good game. I don't recommend it because I don't think I like it. I don't think I like it as the genre that it falls in. Honestly, so
Yeah.
I
If you don't like
the
fighting
genre.
games, you're gonna hate it.
It feels a bit like an action game that is a bit confused about what it wants to be, because like I really do think the 1v1 makes sense, but it doesn't scale properly to what they intend you to use it in, which is large scale battle.
yeah.
Right? I mean, you get a situation of like 3 people in the same area, you just kind of deal with it and die.
You have one person constantly guard breaking you while the other person's hacking away at you. And that's what
the
happens.
reality is, no matter what happens, a Viking comes running out of nowhere and knocks you off a cliff. That is the end of every fight.
I will say I'm having a decent time with the single player. Like I know you guys said it's cheesy as hell, and it is pretty cheesy, but like it
had that
it's fine. Serviceable,
It had. I played a little bit of the single player, and like mission 3 was that like super cliche. Your dude runs into the gate, and the guy in the wall's like, "Where's our backup?" And he's like, "I am your backup."
I am the backup.
You're like, "Oh, it's gonna be that."
My concept when it comes to the single player is that it basically is like it just fills
There.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like
It's not
they
the
check the
focus,
obligatory single player campaign box.
Yeah,
not
like
the
you're
fun
like,
thing.
well, I want to feel pseudo productive, so for 6 hours I'm going to be like mildly entertained.
It's kind of like it's just above the laziest way they could have made the
Jesus
single player.
Christ!
I honestly,
Yeah, no, he's
I
right.
went from
But, like-
I thought it was okay to they made an attempt apparently.
No, I mean,
It could have been
it's
bot matching.
fine. It's fine. Yeah, but it could have been like if you played Star Wars Battlefront 2. Well, okay, Battlefront 1 maybe, where it's just straight up like you're playing on the multiplayer maps and you do the same thing except you're playing against bots. They could have done that, but it's one step above that. But I was thinking, actually, it'd be really cool in that game to be a little bit of an armchair game designer here.
Mhm.
Like, how cool would it be if they did, something like the Shadows of Mordor captain system with that game?
Oh, I
Since
remember
the
you
game is
saying
so
that,
focused
yeah.
towards 1v1.
Yeah.
Like, Shadow of Mordor captain system. Maybe it doesn't even have to be open world, but I mean, you could have like an overworld map where you're bringing
Yeah.
your army around, smashing gates, taking castles and stuff. You could still even use the multiplayer maps like they do. I don't know. I think that even that little bit of depth would have made the single player a bit more fun, rather than just like the straight up. Here's a mission. Here's a mission.
Yeah.
Here's a mission.
I also disagree that they force you down a linear path of the different groups. Like the fact that you have to start as a knight. Some people just wanted to play samurais. Like, why force them? Just let them play the class they want to play.
Yeah, there's some like lore to it or whatever, but
The story's stupid.
Yeah,
It's pretty
Single
cheesy,
player is
man.
pretty bad.
It's
in my
pretty
opinion.
fucking cheesy.
yeah.
All right.
It's fun. That's passable part of it.
For Honor, it's out now. $60. You got deluxe edition for $70, gold edition for $100. You can buy a stake in Ubisoft for $1,500. You can invest on Fig. I don't know.
130 Canadian dollars for the gold edition.
Oh my
It's so
God.
stupid.
1v1 me mid.
Yo,
Orochi,
but just
no
don't
items. Final
buy it.
destination.
I know. I hate that these things exist for
These
no
things have
reason.
existed forever, dude. Like Earthbound was $100 when it came out, and they only had one copy at the Jumbo Video. It was a big box behind the
Came with
counter.
a scratch and sniff sticker and some strategy guides.
Oh, you saying big box old games? I need it.
Mathis, I gotta vindicate you a bit. Actually, being reminded of this just now, I did lift an Airhead from a Blockbuster one time when I was 8. So
Oh, we're gonna go back to my
we're
felony days.
basically in the same boat. Yeah.
Good. Let's bring that back up. Because my favorite part of that whole segment I said before is like watching these like multiple paragraph on the subreddit theories as to what I did and how terrible of a person I could have been and why I wasn't in prison. I'm
Why
like,
you weren't in
guys,
prison?
come on, like relax.
All right, that's For Honor, and I mean, tell you what, let's do it. Let's do one Twitch chat question. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Well, we can do this again soon. This is Twitch chat Q&A. This is on the
ready.
docket. This is it is a filler. I'm gonna be real with you, chat. It's a filler, but I love talking to you guys. So let's pull one. If you got a question for the final 10 minutes or so of the show here, feel free to shout it out. We'll grab it from chat. While you're doing that, I think we've got. Oh wait, no, never mind. Okay, never mind. None of you know what I'm talking about, so forget I even started that sentence.
I have a question here. How can she slap?
Sure.
So it's because she's a cheesy Nobushi player that just pokes you with a poison stick and then runs away.
Yo,
It's bleed, Rob, not poison. Even though
It's bleed.
Sorry, yes, it's bleed. You're right.
Don't. That's gonna be my character in the Tournament of Shame. Just saying. I've been
question
Nobushiing it up.
is Rob in jail?
Yeah.
In
I am.
jail, yes.
Mm-hmm.
What
In
video
jail,
game
yes.
story cliche makes you roll your eyes the hardest? I am the backup.
Thinking about video game story cliches, apparently, because we all just rolled our eyes.
Who's the youngest on the cast? Is it Rob?
Might
it's
be around
Rob.
25.
Yeah, I'm 27 now.
I think if you ever say that the whole story was just a dream, like in any media, like we're done.
That.
Yeah.
And I hate like simple village boy world hero.
I
Yeah.
was just done
yeah.
to death, yeah.
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 There's like,
Yeah.
I think I don't know if it's really even avoidable, to be honest, but there is just a bit too much of a frequency now of, you are the one that holds the key. You know, like it might be an unavoidable trope, but that one's just, I don't want to be the chosen one anymore. I want to be,
Right.
Let me be the
Derek.
villain more.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd love to be the
But
villain.
when
more.
they hint at some sort of vague, like, ethereal quality that they never really define for the whole game, just, you have the power. It's like, what is this? What is the system that governs this, and why do I have it?
Right.
Can I? Does this one count when RPGs think that they're RPGs when they make you go fetch like 40 wolf tits and bring it back to the?
Oh, they're just doing that to buy
dude.
time.
Yeah, you're proving yourself.
Yeah. See, I hate that in RPGs when they do that, and it's frustrating.
Mhm.
Like even something like The Witcher 3. There was this one quest in The Witcher 3 during the Bloody Baron where you're carrying something, but for some reason they decided to add in combat, and I just I don't know, didn't need to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hate unnecessary combat in some story-driven games, I guess is one thing that I'll say.
Mhm.
Does that count?
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if that counts.
We talked about this on one of the earlier episodes this year, but let's go. The number one game that we're all most excited for that's still to come in 2017.
It's For Honor.
Still to come. Come on.
Still to come.
Yeah, well, it's in beta, so I mean, you gotta give them a pass.
Leaving the beta.
I'm actually pretty damn excited for Horizon Zero Dawn still. I'm pretty hopeful about that.
I just remembered Mass
I
Effect
also-
Andromeda comes
looks
next
cool.
month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to say Rhyme for now. I'm also really excited for Hollow Knight, but I think Rhyme will probably be of a larger scope.
Mm.
And Horizon Zero Dawn also really good, so it's a good couple months coming up.
Yeah.
Zelda, for me.
Breath of
I'm
the
like,
Wild, sure.
yeah.
Oh, Red Dead 2. We forgot about that already.
Yeah.
Is that
This
coming
year?
out this year?
Apparently late 2017 is what they're shooting for, so that's exciting.
Shit, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll be excited
Can't
for
just
that.
pick one. There's too many good ones.
Yeah.
My favorite game is whatever one is going to come out and be the best.
Good
Because
answer.
We the
I
best.
find it hypocritical. We're going off on this AAA game that exists. Criticism is fine. But then we're like, oh, yeah, let's hype up these games and be part of the problem again.
Did you hear the
It's
question?
not, literally, consumers should, be very judicious with the criticisms that they give the games, and everybody should have an informed opinion, but also get hype.
When
Like,
someone asks the
games-
question, what game are you most excited for? What do we say?
Context is important. We could, I think it's an important preface.
I
Like-
I have reserved optimism about Horizon Zero Dawn
But why?
because I think it looks cool.
See, we find ourselves in this endless loop of cynicism.
When I don't
'cause we
have
get
the game to
excited.
criticize, I don't have things to actually criticize about the
We're
game. When I
getting
have the game
back
in my
in
hands,
this,
I can talk
like-
about that shit.
We're getting back in this Last Guardian. I'm excited. Oh, it's not magic. For Honor, I'm excited. It's not magic. Ghost Recon, I'm excited. It's not magic. Like loop over and over.
Hey, for me, For Honor, I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. And then I started playing it, and I'm like, wow, it was really cool. So, that it could
That
go
was
the
me
other
with
way
Resident
too.
Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 for me was that game that I was like, it looks like it's going to be a neat idea, but it's fucking Resident Evil. It's probably not going to be that great. And then I was like, Resident Evil 7 is amazing.
Mm-hmm. It can happen. It happens the other way too. I'll have like a reserve, like oh yeah, you know what, that looks cool enough for me to play, and then it turns out it's one of my favorite games.
I tempered my optimism exactly properly for Resident Evil 7. Thank you very much.
I'm just saying. I think, in particular, I feel like Horizon Zero Dawn is just getting a little too much credit for having a cool concept. And really,
Is it just mine? You just take
No,
issue with my
Nick said it
particular
as well.
hype?
Nick said it as well. It looks like it's a AAA third-person action game, but it's got a cool retro.
In an open world,
Right.
don't forget that.
I mean, it's not retro futuristic. I'm trying to think of what the word is. It's futuristic, but
Horizon's
society
got
is,
a lot of different things, though, dude. It really is.
How do we know? We've only
Yeah,
seen
no, that's
what the
fair.
marketing
I'll be
department has scratched for us.
Yeah.
With that game specifically, I do kind of have reserved expectations about it because they've already shown in the E3 footage, and here's a watchtower that you can unlock, and you can see more of the map, and it's just like, oh, are you gonna be one of those? Are you gonna be one of
Ubisoft
those?
game.
It's not
Yeah.
Ubisoft, though.
I know,
we
no,
made
but
that
I know
mistake
that-
last time. We were so sure it was
Yeah.
a Ubisoft game.
I mean, they did show this one thing that was really cool. It was they had to take out this big T-Rex robot, and there's
Yeah.
tons of different ways to take it out, and it had a bunch of weak points, and that's cool. And it's and they're and there are going to be loads of enemies like that. But I've heard game developers say that before, and that means 2.
18
So,
quintillion possibilities.
I don't
Yeah.
think me looking forward to that game counts as unbridled optimism. I'm still keeping it in check, even though I'm saying that I'm looking forward to it.
We
And
know,
with Hollow Knight, I've already played Hollow Knight, and I know I'll like it, so I think I can say that.
healthy hype, man. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't
Healthy
think there's
hype.
such
I
a
like
thing
it.
as healthy hype, to
You don't
be
think
honest.
so?
Here's I'm rebelling against the idea because I'm like now people are in chat are like he's cynical, and before people are like he's a corporate shit.
You were the only one that was on the other side of the fence half an hour ago. Yeah.
What it is just inverted polarity.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying this self-righteously, like this is the way you should be. But I don't really get hyped about things in advance, and then when they come out, I don't have like a built-up idea in my head. So, I mean, for For Honor, I was like, it's gonna be like kind of a mindless hack and slash. And when I played it, I was like, it's got like a deep-ish fighting mechanic, at least in the 1v1s, that's really cool. So I'm like, there's no expectation versus reality dissonance.
Well, I mean, you had an expectation though. You saw it and you were like, oh,
That's true, yeah.
I can kind of formulate in my head what I think this is going to be, and I think
But I didn't think it was going to be good or bad. I was just like, this is what it's going to be. And then when I played it, I was like, this is a cool thing.
Okay, yeah, I see.
I think I go as far as the concept, and I go, is this an interesting concept? And it's okay, yes, then it is, or no.
The only reason I take issue with it is I do think that sometimes we fall into a cycle of like this thing's coming out, marketing looks good, and then we play it and we're like, oh, it's not as good as the marketing would have you believe. And it just like it's a pattern that gets repeated oftentimes. Maybe it gets repeated because the marketing is misleading, but I think we can also like, we can snip it before it comes out.
Okay.
Obviously saying like, no, nobody should ever be excited for anything is a little absurd, but it's absurdity I'm making to hopefully support a point, if not necessarily prove it.
Yeah.
I've tried that angle where you shit on everything equally, and then people just get mad at you. But you can't do that either.
Yes, you can. Fuck with people. Let's do it anyway.
But we are shitting on everything on the show.
Yeah.
No way. You guys mostly like
we
For
aren't
Honor.
though.
We're
because,
optimistic
No.
about things that don't exist, and then
No,
things that
that's-
exist.
That's
we-
where Gerald's
I
at,
What
too.
did we even hit on in this episode?
We took For Honor and said these are the really good parts and these are the really bad parts. Like
Yeah.
we can look at For Honor and say like objectively the mechanics, the gameplay loop is great, but they feel like they shoved these things into it. You can be both.
Yeah. Honestly, in that same regard, for me, For Honor, like it's like here's like the one part of the game is just fantastic, like 10 out of 10, really awesome, and I wasn't expecting it, so it gets extra points. And then the other half is like mediocre to subpar. Like
Here's what I think it's kind of like, it's like a long distance relationship or like an online dating thing or something. Where right now you're looking at the profile for like, Cat Lover 69. You're like, wow, from those 3 photos, like she's perfect. And then when you actually meet her, you're like, oh, her elbows are too sharp, and she's got a freckle in a weird place, and like, I think we
Kinda
do.
judgmental.
I think we're letting. But I think that's kind of
Goddamn pointy elbows.
I think it's easier, and this is not to say that criticism is invalid, but it's easier when something exists in front of you to be like, here's all the bad things about it. And then when it doesn't exist and all you're seeing is marketing, you're being like, oh, you're supporting it because the marketing looks cool, but it's very easy to make the marketing look cool.
Yeah. I hear
Yeah.
you, man.
I see what you're saying.
I don't disagree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
When we're getting into, like, when we break down a game like For Honor and some of us start talking about the negatives and others start talking about the positives, does it come across to the audience that I sometimes let your opinions of positive things act by proxy toward me?
I don't understand
You're
the question.
definitely going to have to
Yeah,
rephrase
yeah,
that.
We're forming one cohesive collective opinion amongst the group of us, or are people seeing that each of us individually only are represented by the things we physically say?
Mm.
Am I the negative one that just hates For Honor because I didn't say a lot of positive things, or do you? Like,
I
which way
think
do
we
you
were all
think?
pretty critical of it. Like we were
We
all.
can be
Well,
critical of it.
are you asking like just in a general sense? Does the podcast convey either a collective or an individual group of opinions?
Yes, I'm asking, sort of just speculating on both sides of that, and then what does the audience actually
We're
say?
getting real fucking meta today, man. This is weird.
Because I don't want to come across that I'm strictly negative, although I tend to say the negative things. It doesn't mean that I only think them.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like, I think I don't.
Except
I
for
don't,
Zelda. Fuck Zelda.
Right.
Am I having a stroke?
I don't think that.
All right, that's what the audience thinks. I'm having a stroke.
I don't think there's an answer to that. Honestly, I'm pretty sure that people are just going to get what they get out of it, and they'll see. People are going to hear you say things, and there's going to be people that be like, Nick fucking hates everything, or there's going to be people that hear the criticism. So I don't know. I think
I guess I just don't want that to be the prevailing sentiment. I don't only think negative things about even games I don't like. I see both sides of it. I just tend to focus on one or the other depending on if I recommend it or not.
I think it's a good thing to do that, though. I think it's a good thing you can look at a game, or if anybody can look at a game and say, these are all the negative things about it, but it's still objectively a good game. It's okay to point out the flaws, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that we are always trying to establish a really fine balance between not just gushing about things and being able to openly discuss criticism and, be negative generally. And it's difficult to toe that line. So, yeah, I can see where your concerns lie.
I'm passionate about things sometimes, and I let that overcome whatever logic might be, and I go too far sometimes with negativity.
I mean, to take it out of generalities and bring it to specifics, I mean, we're talking about For Honor here today. I really do think it would be disingenuous to just say the game's a great 1v1 fighting game and ignore the other stuff. Yeah. Because the other stuff
I do agree with that,
yeah. Like, the other stuff is part of the game. Like, that's part of what you buy. And that's part of the value proposition of buying it, is having those other game modes and stuff. So, and you do have to consider those when you're operating from a critical perspective.
To be honest, I also think, like, if you take the situation of For Honor and Horizon Zero Dawn, like, I basically care zero about atmosphere and, like, 92% mechanics and 8% how I'm feeling on that particular day. So for Honor to have
that's fair, actually.
For Honor to have like a cool system that is new and engaging, and it's kind of like a different way of interacting with another person in the game environment than you see in AAA games. At least I've never seen another game manifest like this in a AAA environment. That matters more to me than this game has robot dinosaurs. But that might be myself, or I might be in the minority, or maybe I'm in the majority, but not everybody's in the majority.
That's totally valid. Like, I'm the opposite. I think I put an overly large amount of emphasis on atmosphere over sometimes mechanics, to the extent that I sometimes enjoy games with almost no mechanics.
Like all the delicate duplicates.
That's my bias, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different strokes, y'all. That's why we have this podcast.
Roundtable Podcast.
That being said,
what's up?
Metacritic prediction for Horizon Zero Dawn: 15.
What?
You want to all take a stab at it for real? Because I think I'm going to say like 78%.
Yeah, I was going to say 80s.
I'm going to be a lot more conservative now that I gave The Last Guardian a shot to get like 90 out of 100 on fucking Metacritic.
How does this always happen? I'm always like the most cynical about new releases, and I'm like, this thing, this is going to be like an 88 or higher when it comes out.
You just educated him on restricting himself. You think he's going to give it an 80?
I'm not saying it is going to be Game of the Year. I'm just saying, like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, that looks like an 88.
I'd like to be able to accurately call the Metacritic before release, because that tells me that I've got my head on straight. I can see through the mechanics and the hype, give you a number, and then it's quantified on Metacritic.
Be the fucking Nate Silver of indie gaming, man.
Yes. 78.
Exactly.
Indie gaming in the AAA space.
Well, I mean, For Honor on PC has a 78 right now, so...
Does it really?
It's got mixed
I
reviews
wouldn't
on
have
Steam,
guessed
man.
that, personally.
Yeah.
5,364 people think, I don't know. This one guy.
Shall we continue?
Yeah, that is. That's going to lead us into everybody's favorite segment after their favorite segment. No Ask Roundtable this week in light of chat Q&A, but we have Nick's Weird Games, right? And
we definitely have that. And good luck when you tag all of the timestamps for this, by the way, because we went out some wild tangents.
Yeah, we'll see what I end up doing. Nick's Weird Games. Every week, Nick's going to go get a weird game from his catalog of very many Nick's Weird Games. Kiss from a Rose by Seal. You think you got something for that?
Yeah, okay.
Right, good.
Okay. There used to be a publisher making games on PS3. They thought they'd exist till 2023. Yet, although last year, Chapter 11 bankruptcy, did you know? Did you see? It's Japanese. Released by Koei and financed by a reclusive millionaire. I don't know. Baby, I compare you to a weird game from Nick's catalog. Ooh, it's the sort of game that really did not get attention.
That didn't really take off.
That was beautiful.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that
That could have been a lot better.
I didn't like the 3 rhyming with 3, but then 3 with bankruptcy I was into. That was good. See? Even, fair and balanced.
Song critic, 6 out of 10.
6.5.
All right, man.
All right, so today's game is again on the PS2.
Okay.
But it was actually released on, like, everything at some point.
Okay.
Like, pretty much everything.
It's going to be on a Scorpio?
It's on Windows. It's on whatever Yahoo Mobile is.
Don't make Scorpio jokes on my podcast, Rob. Get the fuck out of here.
Have you ever heard of EasyWeb?
Nope.
No. Sounds like
It's
porn.
on that. It's on Steam, so that's another thing. It is a shmup, which will help you eliminate a good degree of things already. It was released in, God, there's so many release dates. 2005 and 2007 in North America. It originally released in 2005. So it's a revival of a classic series.
Gradius.
Galaga?
It was developed by a Japanese company named Moss,
Oh.
with some assistance and licensed by Cebu Kaihatsu,
Oh, I love Cebu Kaihatsu.
who produced the originals of this series.
It's the R-Type reboot.
No, it was published
There's not that many shmups. Was it?
published by Taito.
I have a feeling there's a lot more than we think there are.
Yeah,
there
there
are.
probably are. Actually, you're right. Raiden was one.
Was it a Ninja Gaiden?
No.
Shoot 'em up? A Ninja Gaiden shoot 'em up?
Yeah, I would try it, but that doesn't exist.
You just throw a bunch of shurikens at
Man,
spaceships.
I don't know shmups through a hole in the wall, so.
Yeah.
It's not
The-
Raiden?
You play... Oh, I didn't hear you say that. You play as the Fighting Thunder ME2.
Yeah, that must be.
Wait, what? You still didn't answer my question. Is it
I
Raiden?
was trying...
was
Well, because you can't just ask yes or no, is it? But, yeah, it's...
Oh, it is! It's Raiden?
You got it!
Yes!
Raiden 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
Raiden 3, nice.
Oh, I've seen that.
I was debating
the
whether or
shells.
not I should try and make you say the actual number, but like
Oh.
I realized that
I would
be a
just go
stupid
Raiden
thing.
1, Raiden 2, Raiden
That's
3.
that's why I just decided I'm just giving it to you because, like, yeah, I heard you say it, but I was like, well, do I say it or do I not?
Oh,
Anyway,
well, all
this is what
right.
it is. Raiden 3, Raiden's back in full 3D glory, blast your way through hordes of enemy spacecraft. I mean, you know how.
Galaga, Gradius, and Raiden. I mean, that was... if it wasn't one of those three, that was all I had, so...
Oh, there's a lot more than that.
I'm
but
sure,
these are the
yeah.
three anybody's heard of.
Shit.
You had one more on that list than I knew.
There was what was the actually? There was a color shifting one that was really cool recently. A shmup.
Ikaruga. That was an old
Ikaruga,
one though.
Yeah.
That was from like 2005 or 4.
Oh, they remade that, huh?
Man.
Well, it's
Oh.
the same one. They just ported it to things.
Right. Cool.
I guess in chat I'll give it to the person who said Raiden something something, since I took that essentially.
There you go.
So QBD Theory, congrats, nailed it.
Sweet. Oh
Raiden.
man.
He's also the Thunder God.
Oh, no.
True.
He's also in Mortal Kombat.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Good show.
Good show. Good show. Hey. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Roundtable Live. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for your continued support. It is awesome. We've been doing this for just way longer
Decades.
than I ever
Fucking-
expected. So it's pretty cool that we get to keep doing it. So thank you very much for supporting it. You can follow the show here on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast. We're live every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch the VOD immediately after it goes live, or about like an hour later on my channel, youtube.com/BearTaffy. You can also catch the VOD on Mathis Games and Rockley Smile. You can also go to the show discussion subreddit, roundtablepodcast.reddit.com. You can go to our Twitter at RoundtablePC to be notified when the show goes live over there. And you can support us on Patreon. We want to thank those Patreon supporters over there on patreon.com/roundtable, which include Julian Avelsgaard, Jonathan Graham, Scotty119, Joseph Boss, Penn Gillette, Michael Bush Larson, Talks to Wall, TJ Majesty, Chaos, Make Sweet Love to the Police Theorist. don't know if he's like trying to push my boundaries there. Colby Klein, Greenlight, Oren Saltzman, Christopher Flagg, Eric Schooley, Brizzlebrit, Positron, Myth Scarab, Mediocrities, Justin, Samurfet, and Logan Ray. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. And thank you, Rob, for being on. Where can they find you, man?
I am Alpaca Patrol everywhere, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Like I was saying, despite how critical I was, I've been playing a lot of For Honor. So if you come by twitch.tv/Alpaca Patrol, you can even see my most recent highlight, which is me taking on 3 motherfuckers in a 4v4 deathmatch and killing them all. Which was
Damn.
yeah, it's a good time.
That's pretty impressive.
So
That's rare.
Twitch.tv/Alpaca Patrol is a good time. Stream pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a shower thought for you.
What's up?
Okay.
You ever realize that the term motherfucker
Mm-hmm.
is just a name you can use for dads you don't like?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could use it for dads you do like, because it's still technically descriptive.
Yeah,
right?
but he means it in the pejorative sense.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
all right.
as a slur.
Thank
If
you all
you
for
will.
watching this episode of Roundtable Live. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, see you later.
See ya.